fire. And blood. Dreams didn't make us kings. Dragons did.
The threat of war looms.
There is no war so hateful as a war between kin.
I mean to fight this war and win it.
I will not be thought weak. I wish to spill blood.
And no war so bloody as a war between dragons.
That made you stand by and watch as the High Towers usurp the throne. You and your traitorous twin.
No, my prince. I'm shamed by it. That's why I abandoned the King's Guard and my brother and came here.
I don't care. Aegon was in your grasp. You should have killed him yourself.
I reckon I were named to the King's Guard at just 8 and 10. And we swore the same oath. To defend the whole of the royal family. So what were we to do when they turned against one another?
Welcome, one. Welcome, all. The time is almost upon us. After a very long wait and a very extended hiatus, we are finally, less than 24 hours away from House of the Dragon Season 2 from hitting our screens. And I must say, it almost feels a little surreal. We've been waiting a very long time for House of the Dragon to come back around. And I don't know, part of it just, maybe it just hasn't hit me yet. Maybe it'll hit me tomorrow when we're getting a little closer to the actual episode. But it's here. It is upon us, ladies and gentlemen, and we are going to dive into all things House of the Dragon Season 2, along with some preview scenes of the upcoming first episode, one of which you just saw with Daemon Targaryen and Sir Eric of the King's Guard. So yeah, we're going to have some fun tonight, ladies and gentlemen. We are going to be diving headfirst back into Westeros, take a look at what we have to look forward to in Season 2, and some predictions for Season 2 as well, because if anyone knows, Fire and Blood isn't very thick with details and dialogue. So I get the feeling a lot of what we're going to see on the show, even us book readers, are going to be surprised from time to time. So we are going to be diving into everything. And I cannot wait to do it. And of course, joining me, as always, my awesome partners in crime. All this fresh off the farm on Orwell Lane. All this, it is great to have you back, my friend.
Yeah, I apologize for my abrupt exit last week, but
no worries.
When family duties call, you gotta step up, and they obviously take precedence over the show.
Absolutely.
But yeah, man, I think back to like 2 years ago when we were getting our Saturday show rolling, and you were really pushing me to go, dude, like, even if you're not going to read it, here's the audiobook. You got to listen to this Fire and Blood. And I was like, man, like, I just kind of I'm kind of done. I loved the books for Game of Thrones. I never watched the show on HBO. I want to finish all the books first, then watch the adaptation. And you kicked over this audiobook, and one day I was driving and I threw it on and I was hooked, like, immediately. And I just devoured it. And then when the show came out, it was like, oh my God, this is a really good adaptation for like half of it. And then there were a couple of choices they made where I was like, ugh. And then they ended on a great note. Like, they won me back at the end, right? So I'm excited about this. I don't nearly have the adulation for the material as you do, my friend. But no, man, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what's great about a show like House of the Dragon, whether you're a book reader or whether you're just coming in fresh, never having seen Game of Thrones. It's a show that you can instantly get into and instantly kind of dive into and get invested in some of these awesome characters. You can really appreciate the set design, the aesthetic, the score. even if you're not a Game of Thrones fan, there's something in the show that I think everybody could probably find something to latch onto and enjoy that speaks to them. But yeah, man, no, I'm glad you enjoyed those portions of Fire and Blood, and looks like we're going to see quite a few of those big moments adapted this season on screen. And of course, joining me as always, Snuggy Jr. Welcome, Snug.
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, I'm looking forward to having a few months of good TV. We had Shogun a couple months ago, and now after the pretty good drought. But looks like we got this coming up, and then From after it. So it's going to be a good few months of TV.
It is. It is. It's been a pretty interesting year for television. I love movies. I love going to the movie theaters, especially if it's a nice IMAX picture like Dune Part 2. It's a very cinematic experience. I love that. But I really get into my long-running TV series a little bit more than I do movies. I just really find myself more invested in the longer format of storytelling, the multiple season series. I usually tend to be drawn to these the most. So yeah, something like House of the Dragon, From, Shogun, I really enjoy the series format of storytelling. And this one's going to be pretty good because, again, of course, anyone who watched House of the Dragon Season 1, one of the complaints or criticisms that from some people, book readers and non-book readers alike, was a little bit of the kind of disjointedness in terms of all of the time jumps, the constant recasting of actors, aging them up. As soon as you get used to a certain actor or actress in a role, all of a sudden they're getting recast. But one thing that's great about season 2 is we are getting right to the war. This is the definitive cast. There'll be no more time jumps, anything like that. It'll be a much more cohesive storyline to follow going forward. And I don't envy their task in season 1. I know we touched on this last week a little bit as well, but I certainly don't envy Ryan Condal's task that he had in season 1, trying to adapt 29 years or so of history in only 10 episodes. It's a tall task. Unfortunately, you're going to have to be forced to kind of condense some things and leave some things out. But given what he was given and what he had to work with, I think he did a phenomenal job crafting that first season of House of the Dragon. And I'm looking forward to season 2 because it looks like season 2 is going to be even better. There has been some early reviews coming out, of course, non-spoilery reviews because the embargo is still in place. But we have been getting some early non-spoilery reviews, and people are saying that this is definitely the season where House of the Dragon kind of returns to form and returns to that early Game of Thrones form. And that's high praise. I mean, the first 3-4 seasons or so of Game of Thrones are probably the best television that I've ever seen in my life. So if House of the Dragon season 2 is anything even close to that kind of quality, I cannot wait to dive into this season and meet some of these new characters as well. Like this character we see here on screen, which I know is a character many of us are looking forward to seeing. All of my House Stark fans in the chat. Let's see those House Stark emojis. But yeah, we are going to be seeing Winterfell, the Wall, and Cregan Stark. The return of House Stark in less than 24 hours now.
No, I tell you,
but I guess
when you shot this image over, the first thing that came to my mind, my heart sank. And the reason my heart sank is because originally Condal was greenlighted to be the man for Amazon for their Conan series.
Yes.
And it was supposed to be a return back to true Robert E. Howard Conan. And man, if you see this, and I just think of what could have been, and I love House of the Dragon. Like I said, I'm really excited for season 2, but I'm a Conan fan long before I was ever a fan of George's stuff. And this picture just it hit me in the feels a little bit. It's like, oh, if Amazon wouldn't have scrapped the project, what could we have had? But yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, maybe they'll bring it back.
Maybe they will. I mean, especially now, I know Ryan Condal's a little tied up now, but it seems like they're probably only going to be doing 4 seasons of House of the Dragon. Who knows? Maybe they'll return to that after he's done with this, because like you said, seeing the quality that he has put forth on adapting Fire and Blood, and knowing that Condal seems to be a big Conan fan as well, I imagine he would have put together a phenomenal Conan series if he had the chance. So who knows? Maybe. I mean, if I was Amazon, especially after the success of House of the Dragon, I would offer him a blank freaking paycheck and say, come on over, adapt whatever you want.
Yeah.
No,
grab up some of the Rings of Power writers to help him out.
No, we don't want that. We don't want that.
They need to go back to New Zealand and just stay there. you know. But yeah, whether it's Conan or whether it's Elric or whether it's any other of the epic fantasy sagas that are out there, I'm hoping that this really taking off is just another, this wouldn't have happened if Game of Thrones hadn't have happened. And there are so many other series that we're not going to talk about because we talk about things we like here that occurred because of the success of Game of Thrones and are just fallen on their face. This is like, it's the Phoenix Rising, man. Game of Thrones burned out and then this came roaring out of the ashes. And I'm hoping that rise, like you said, man, it'd be great to see Amazon or even Disney, because they proved with Andor that they can do a good series, whether it was by chance or not, who knows? But there's a hope out there that we get some Hyborian age stuff.
Fluke, yeah.
Yeah, no, I'd dive into a nice Ryan Condal Conan series in a second. And speaking of diving into things, let me scroll up over here and let's dive into this awesome chat we have here assembled this evening. And let's see who is joining us. And again, big thank you to anybody who is joining us this evening. We are less than 24 hours away now from episode 1 loading on HBO. And I know you guys are just as excited as I am. We got Kiwi Skirt in the building. Welcome, welcome, Kiwi Skirt. Always good to see you, my friend. We got Catspaw in the house. What is up, Catspaw? I am so glad to hear that they are going to do a third and may end with a fourth to properly tell this story. Absolutely. I mean, knowing that and of course, for anyone who didn't know, that I know the news has just recently come out. I'm sure most people probably already know by now, but season 3 of House of the Dragon has already been renewed and ordered by HBO. And according to Matt Smith, they are going to be starting filming for season 3 this year. So hopefully we won't have as long a wait as we had in between seasons 1 and 2. I'm still anticipating a long wait, unfortunately. A season of House of the Dragon, there's a lot that goes into it, from filming and most of all post-production. The amount of CGI, getting the CGI right for this many dragons takes a very long time. So I'm definitely still anticipating a long wait in between seasons 2 and 3, but hopefully not as long as between seasons 1 and 2. Because yes, season 3 has already been greenlit, and they are already been working on pre-production for season 3. And again, according to Matt Smith, they are going to start filming this year. So they are keeping the Westeros train rolling. We have recently heard they have just recently started filming Dunk and Egg as well, which will be premiering next year. So it looks like we are, at the very least, we're going to have at least one A Song of Ice and Fire series every year on HBO, maybe more if some of the animated series get greenlit. So the future for A Song of Ice and Fire fans, it looks like it is going to be a very interesting one. Very interesting one.
Who is who's the showrunner on the Dunk and Egg series?
Ira Parker is the showrunner, the writer and showrunner on Dunk and Egg. And the writer from Pattinson's Batman is currently writing a prequel, the Aegon's Conquest prequel, which hopefully gets greenlit as well. It hasn't been greenlit yet, but they are currently adapting a script for Aegon's Conquest, and hopefully that'll get picked up too. And I know they are also still working on the Corlys Velaryon animated series as well. The Corlys Velaryon series was originally going to be live action, but I think HBO realized how expensive a Corlys Velaryon live action show would be, especially if they want to cover his 9 voyages. He goes to so many just grand and exotic locations. Like filming a show like that in live action would be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
So I totally understand. Yeah. I totally understand them kind of going the animated route for the Corlys Velaryon series. I think that's a good choice. They can really kind of kick the doors open and get really A Song of Ice and Fire accurate with that one. And hopefully we can see Stephen Toussaint return and do the voiceover for Corlys, for a younger Corlys. But yeah, we got a lot of stuff to look forward to, guys, on the A Song of Ice and Fire front. A lot of stuff. And speaking of looking forward to stuff, thank you so much, Catspaw. It looks like Catspaw has become a member of the channel. Thank you so much, Catspaw, for becoming a member. Welcome, so welcome you are. And of course, for everyone who is a member, we have custom A Song of Ice and Fire and House of the Dragon emojis. And I will be uploading new ones for next week. I was trying to get it done tonight, but unfortunately I had a lot of stuff on my plate. I wasn't able to get it done before the stream. But before next Saturday's pregame stream for episode 2, we will have all new House of the Dragon emojis for channel members. So thank you so much, Catspaw, for becoming a member. And chat, you guys know what that means. Doc knows. Cover your ears, because a woe is on the way.
Whoa!
Thank you, Catspaw, for becoming a member. And welcome. We are certainly glad to have you. Certainly glad to have everybody here hanging out with us tonight in the awesome, awesome chat. Got Bernie in the house. What is up, Bernie? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Got Zachary Welch in the house. What is up, Zachary? Always good to see you too, as well, my friend. I know you are ready for tomorrow, as are we all. We got Michael DeJardins in the house. What is up, Michael? Good to see you as well, my friend. Hail my chat. Hail my chat, indeed. Hail my chat, indeed. We got Icy Nub in the building. Welcome, welcome, Icy Nub. Good to see you as well. I see Brandon Bell in the house. One more night. I know, right? Less than 24 hours away now, ladies and gentlemen. We are getting closer and closer. And again, it's kind of unbelievable after such a long wait. And that's the thing. We had a long wait. We had a huge writers and actor strike that came around. And unfortunately, House of the Dragon was not affected by the writers and actors strike, and it still took them a year and a half to film one season. So I get the feeling there's going to be a lot of big spectacle scenes in season 2 if it took them this long. And hopefully they got it right. And I have a feeling they did. We got a good team behind House of the Dragon, luckily. A good team. Zachary Watt says, I'm going to be rolling up some fat blunts tomorrow. And hey, Kiwi Skirt, hell yes, my friend. Let the cannabis burn. Let it flow. Absolutely. Absolutely. You know, I will be doing the same. We got Doc Hayes in the house. What is up, Doc Hayes? Good to see you as well, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Oh, it is Catspaw's birthday tomorrow. So nice.
Hey.
Oh, that's a very nice present. And happy birthday, Catspaw. That is awesome. I mean, hell yeah, your birthday's on the premiere of House of the Dragon. Is there a better birthday present in the world? I don't know. I mean, maybe if someone's birthday fell on the day that Winds of Winter came out, that's the only thing I could think that's maybe a little better. Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
child has not been born yet.
Yeah, it's but no, happy birthday, Catspaw. That is so awesome. And here is some birthday glitter for you, and here's to many, many more. Happy birthday indeed. Awesome stuff. And thank you for spending your pre-happy birthday here with us this evening. It's awesome to have you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We got the one and only Star in the building. What is up, Star? Always good to see you, my friend. Hi, fam. Let's go. Hell yes. Let's go indeed. Let's go indeed. We got some big events to talk about this evening. Some big events that are going to be coming in these very first few episodes. And it is going to be fun. We got Catherine in the house. What is up, Catherine from Toronto? Well, welcome, Catherine from Toronto. So glad to have you here this evening. And it's always awesome to see where people are tuning in from. And I'm always incredibly surprised to see some people tuning in from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. It's always just blows my mind how people can find our small, humble little channel from so far away. So welcome. So glad to have you, Catherine. Welcome, welcome. And welcome, Jen Hack, as well. Good to see you, my friend. Always good to see you. We got Misu in the house. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, but welcome, welcome. Awesome to see you here this evening. We got Henry Bemis in the house. What is up, Henry Bemis? Always good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It has been interesting book versus show. There really hasn't been too much deviation. No, I feel like season 1 was a pretty accurate adaptation. Of course, again, the source material in Fire and Blood is very hearsay at the least. George likes to play with the whole unreliable narrator trope, so there's sometimes 2 or 3 different versions of events. But in terms of what we know happened, some of the things that kind of aren't debatable, it seems like Ryan did a very good job adapting season 1. And again, it was a tall task trying to adapt 29 years of history in only 10 episodes. That is not easy to do by any means. And I think he did a really good job. Really good job. And I absolutely love how they fleshed out some characters a little bit more on the show than they did even with the book. I know we talked about this many times here on the channel, but it's because I am just still in awe of his performance. And that is, of course, Paddy Considine's performance as King Viserys in season 1. It was just so awesome to see them really, right? Like see them flesh that character out as much as they did, especially considering the series that we get in Fire and Blood isn't really much. I mean, even George has said in multiple occasions that he wishes he could go back and rewrite those chapters of Fire and Blood with the show version of the series in mind, because he was so impressed with Paddy Considine's performance. And he really was. I know I say this a lot, but I really think Paddy was the backbone of the show in season 1. He was that veteran actor, that veteran presence on set. It seems like a lot of the other actors and actresses really leaned on him for, leadership, and it's very understandable. Like I said, he's a veteran, and he delivered such a phenomenal performance as King Viserys I, and it just really just blew everything away that was on the page. So it's going to be interesting to see season 2. Now that Paddy Considine is gone, and we will no longer be seeing King Viserys, unfortunately. R.I.P. Viserys. It's going to be interesting to see season 2, because again, I really think Viserys was the kind of backbone of season 1 for a while, and we saw what happened to his family and the entire realm as soon as he died. Chaos erupted. So it's going to be interesting to see season 2 now that it's just the war, and it's a much more kind of linear story, no more time jumps, anything like that. But bravo to Paddy Considine, man. He was great.
Well, on that too, I mean, they kind of suggest a little bit, and this is what I really liked about the show. They showed you that everything that happened after his death was already bubbling when he took the throne. Like that was something that it already existed, and they hint at it. They kind of show you that everything's not great. Like everybody respects him, but as soon as he's gone, like everything that's been happening over the years comes up. And I loved that scene when Matt Smith walks down and then hands him the driftwood crown. It just, everybody's kind of waiting because they don't know, because that is the undercurrent. And then he has that moment when he gives it up and embraces him as a brother and as king, that it's like, oh, okay. And then, but that tension is still there. It's just, it rises at a couple of occasions. They do a really good job of showing that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. The relationship between Daemon and Viserys was one of my favorite aspects of season 1. We see that, in moments where they do have that kind of brotherly love, that bond never really fully goes away, but they do clash a lot, which is also very similar to Fire and Blood. In Fire and Blood, Daemon and Viserys were constantly clashing, making up, clashing, making up. Daemon's getting exiled, he's coming back, exiled, coming back, sort of thing. And I feel like they brought that relationship to life in a very good way in season 1 that really shows a different side of Daemon. I know Daemon is a very polarizing figure within the House of the Dragon fandom. People either love him or hate him, it seems. And yes, he's definitely, he is by no means Jon Snow. When I think of Daemon, I don't think of a hero. I think more anti-hero, if anything.
Right.
He's pretty dark. He's one of those gray characters, some good, some bad. But I love the way Matt Smith has been playing him, and he always describes Daemon as having this kind of almost perverted sense of his own moral compass, his own justice, where he's not afraid to get his hands dirty in many deplorable ways, as we will see very early on in season 2. But at the end of the day, when it comes to his family, there's nothing he won't do to protect his family. So it's nice seeing those two different sides of Daemon as a character. And I guess it's one of the reasons why Daemon is George's favorite Targaryen, as he has said multiple times in the past, because it's that duality. I know George says all the time that his favorite thing to write isn't magic or these big action scenes. It's writing the human heart in conflict with itself. And I feel like Daemon is a perfect embodiment of that kind of feeling that George was going for when he says that, because we do see both sides to Daemon, both in the books and even more so in the show. So I really love the relationship between him and his brother Viserys. We kind of got to see glimpses of the Daemon that'll do anything to protect his family, and not just the cruel Daemon that's not afraid to get his hands dirty.
Yeah.
So
Second
it's
best
really good.
casting choice in the show, if you ask me. Both those actors are very well suited to their roles.
They were.
Yeah.
They were.
Yeah.
And here we see Daemon with his cloak of skullduggery already ready to go. And we are going to be seeing Daemon in that cloak of skullduggery very early on in episode 1. So get ready, guys, because Henry Bemis knows what I'm talking about, and we're going to talk about this here in a minute as well. But yes, Blood and Cheese is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Blood and Cheese is coming. And obviously, anyone who has read the books, and even if you haven't read the book, and maybe you have heard of Blood and Cheese, it's a huge, big event that a lot of fans have been talking about for a very long time. So even if you haven't read the book, maybe it got spoiled for you along the way, or maybe you watched a lore video or something. But Blood and Cheese has been a very big event that I think a lot of people have been looking forward to seeing how it is going to adapt on screen. And of course, a lot of people always compare it to Game of Thrones and the Red Wedding, which of course is another very gruesome, shocking death event that happens kind of out of nowhere if you didn't read the books. But Blood and Cheese is going to be a little bit different. Anytime you have children involved, it's a little bit darker, and that is what we're going to see pretty early on in season 2. We got Danger V. What is up, Danger V? Good to see you as well. What is up, King Cobra? Can't wait for House of the Dragon Season 2 tomorrow night. Hell yes. Especially to de-age the Corlys actor. Yeah, if they're going animated, that'll definitely help immensely as well. That's a good point as well. Because yes, if they are doing the 9 Voyages of Corlys, this is going to be him when he was much, much younger. So animated, it's a smart decision to make, to go animated for Corlys. So I like that. But yeah, let's dive into it, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, throughout the night, and if there was anybody in the chat that I missed, I am terribly sorry, but I do welcome each and every single one of you. And thank you so much for hanging out with us for a little bit for our pre-game House of the Dragon premiere show. And of course, let us know throughout the night what big events you guys are looking forward to seeing on the show. But starting off, let's talk a little bit about Blood and Cheese. Now, of course, Blood and Cheese is, again, one of the darker events that happens during Dance of the Dragons. And from all accounts, it seems like the Blood and Cheese is going to be happening very early on in season 1, like episode 1 early on. So it's going to be very interesting. And again, I think this event is always going to get compared to Red Wedding just for the severity of the events and how shocking they are. But I feel like they're two totally different events when you start breaking them down a little bit. I feel like the Red Wedding was so devastating because of who it happened to. Blood and Cheese is kind of devastating just because of what happens, not so much who it happens to. Yes, it happens to children, which makes it even darker, but it happens to characters that we don't really have a big connection with. These characters aren't really as established as Robb and Catelyn were. And I think that's where a lot of the argument, because I've seen a lot of people bring it up in our comment sections, that they're worried that Blood and Cheese won't be as impactful to the audience because we don't have that established connection to the characters involved. And while I do think that might be the case in some levels, again, Robb Stark and Catelyn, we spent 3 seasons with up until that point, or if you're a book reader, you spent 3 giant books with them up until that point. So when you're reading the Red Wedding scene in the book for the first time, or you're watching that scene on the show for the first time, it's shocking. It's incredibly shocking, and it's incredibly heartbreaking because I think a lot of us, or at least most of the fans, really were rooting for House Stark. Of course, we see what happens to Ned at the end of season 1, which was kind of the first of the oh shit moments, which not only changed literature, but it certainly changed TV forever when that episode actually aired. I remember a big theme after Game of Thrones season 1 aired, where we started seeing a lot of other shows start to kind of kill off main characters, where that was something we just never really saw before. Characters starting getting a little bit more brazen. I really do think Game of Thrones season 1 really blazed that trail for a lot of creative thinking. But when it comes to the Red Wedding, again, we had spent so much time with Robb and Catelyn. Up until that point, at least I was very invested in those characters, very invested in the Stark storyline. You wanted to see the good and noble House Stark prevail over the evil House Lannister, at least at that point in time, with the execution of Ned and Robb taking up his father's banners, calling in all his men, rallying the North, winning battle after battle after battle, undefeated in the field, and only to get killed very gruesomely in a wedding in a very, very quick and dark scene. And even George has mentioned in the past that when it came to him writing that book in particular, he had to skip over the Red Wedding chapter. That was the last thing he wrote for that book because he just didn't want to write it. He knew how tough that chapter was going to be to write. He knew what it was going to do to the readers. He knew how much of an impact Blood and Cheese, the Red Wedding was going to have on the readers. So for that reason, even George was kind of hesitant. He just didn't want to write that scene until he absolutely had to. And again, it really kind of hits home perfectly. It's the perfectly kind of set up, devastating event. Now, Blood and Cheese, on the other hand, is very similar in some ways where it's incredibly devastating, maybe even a little bit more devastating considering it's happening to children. Anytime you have children involved in any kind of gruesome, violent event like this, it gets dark very quick. Nobody wants to see anything happen to children, obviously. But I think the reason the Red Wedding was so impactful emotionally for such a long duration was because we had that very long established connection to Robb and Catelyn. And with Blood and Cheese, we're not really going to have that established connection. That's why I really was hoping we were going to get some more scenes of Helena and the children towards the end of season 1. And we really only saw Helena and the children towards the end of season 1 a very small handful of times. So the audience didn't really have time to form that emotional connection. I still think Blood and Cheese is going to be incredibly dark. Don't get me wrong. It's still going to be very impactful. I do think it's going to be the most shocking event in this season and maybe even in the series. Again, anytime you have children involved, it gets very dark. I hate seeing shit happen to kids. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Blood and Cheese lands with the overall fandom compared to the Red Wedding. Will it have a similar impact? Will it be one of those shocking moments that's kind of shocking for a little bit and then kind of fades? Or will it be one of those kind of touchstone events that fans always kind of touch on for years down the road? I don't know, but it's going to be interesting to see. But what about you guys? Do you think Blood and Cheese is going to hit fans as hard as the Red Wedding did? And let us know in the chat as well. Do you guys think Blood and Cheese will hit as hard as the Red Wedding did?
Probably not. Probably not. I mean, but we don't know. Reading the book, I don't remember that we knew those characters that well either for that scene. But I think it'll be a pretty punchy start to the season.
It's definitely starting it out with a bang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's real. It's because I think it'll change the tone, right? Season 1 was a different tone than what season 2 is going to do, and I think Blood and Cheese are going to be the fulcrum on which the plot kind of shifts, and you get that sense that the theme is shifting because we're in war now, right? It's not everything up to this has been the dalliances and the dancing back and forth with the minor suggestion that it's begun at the end of the season. Now we're officially in, and this is going to be the point where everybody understands that there's no front line in this war. It's everywhere. Because it's family. Yeah. It's not just a civil war in the sense that the country is split. It is a family that is split. And so there are people on all sides and everyone's a target because of the nature of the monarchy, so to speak, and how the lineage works. So I think it's just setting the ground rules. As far as shocking, I don't think so because fewer people have read Fire and Blood than ever read Game of Thrones. And people were still shocked because you have so many you have a lot of non-book readers that are watching. So because it's, we already had that event where a main character died, surprisingly. I don't think they'll be shocked. I think the violence of it is what's going to shock people.
Yes.
It's not the event, it's how terrible it is and what is done. I think that's going to be the shocking. Not necessarily the event, but how the event happens.
That's gonna be
Mhm.
very interesting to see unfold. I mean, obviously we have, an account of how Blood and Cheese was kind of set in motion, with Daemon kind of being the architect of the entire thing. And obviously it looks like Daemon is definitely going to play a big part in it on the show as well. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how the show just handles the entire event, not just the event itself, but like you said, the setup to the event. I'm really looking forward to seeing. But yeah, it's going to be dark either way. I do think it's going to be pretty shocking. Like Dre says here, I think fans who haven't read the book, it will probably be a little bit more shocked. Obviously, if you don't know that's coming, I think that's going to shock you much, much more. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. And as Kiwi says, I think the fact that it's a child will make it a bigger impact, but not as heart wrenching as the Red Wedding. And that's kind of a fair assessment. I'm kind of a similar mind as well. Again, anytime you have kids involved, it's very dark. Like, I hate seeing shit happen to kids, but knowing that there isn't that established connection, that these aren't characters that we're really too invested in as an audience member. Maybe some are, which is totally cool. But in terms of screen time and having that long time to develop a relationship with audience and character, it just hasn't. We just haven't had enough time with Elena and the kids yet. Unfortunately, they just haven't had enough screen time. So I do think it's going to be gut wrenching. I do think it's going to be dark. But in terms of overall impact on the fandom as a whole, going forward, I'm not sure if it'll have as lasting an effect as the Red Wedding did.
So here's a
But
question
either
for
way.
you. Here's a question for you, Jeremy. How do you lead up to it? Do you spend some time with the characters to show the relationships and to build that
Yes.
character up a little bit, or do you utilize the violence itself as the harbinger? And does just the door open and you see the evisceration? Is that the shocking moment where you don't even need to introduce the character because the character doesn't matter? It's the event that matters.
Yeah. And I
Which
do
way do
think
you
there
go
is
on
going
that
to
one?
be. I go personally. Like, if it was me, I would probably have Blood and Cheese happen on episode 2 if possible, and I probably would have had Helena have just a little bit more screen time in season 1, show that motherly side to Helena, which is something we didn't really see much of. We saw Helena in a handful of scenes in season 1, and clearly they've done some things with Helena's character. They made her a dragon dreamer on the show, which I thought was a very interesting aspect to add to her character. I think it adds depth to her character. But they didn't really do much with it apart from that one little foreshadowing of that just horrible rainy scene in episode 9 with the whole beast beneath the boards thing. But if it was me, I probably would have done something like that. Maybe have a little bit more establishing scenes where you show the relationship with Helena and her children, especially in contrast with the relationship Helena has with her husband and brother Aegon. They don't have a really good marriage. They're not lovers by any means. It was a forced marriage, an arranged marriage between Targaryen siblings. Both of them would probably much rather have married other people, and it doesn't seem like they have a very happy marriage, especially considering the kind of little schmuck that Aegon is. So if it was me, I would definitely have some more establishing connections with not only showing Helena and the motherly side to her, but in contrast, show the kind of day in the life that she has to go through being married to Aegon in particular. And then when something like when Blood and Cheese comes around, and you realize that the only thing Helena has is her children. She doesn't have a relationship with her husband. She doesn't really have much of a relationship with her mother. Every time her mother tries to touch her, she recoils from her. All Helena has is her children. So if you establish that connection a little bit more, I think it makes Blood and Cheese just a little bit more heartbreaking to the audience. But like you said, the savage nature of the act in and of itself is going to be shocking enough too. It's going to be dark for sure. For sure. Rooftop Korean says, great analysis. Blood and Cheese won't hit as hard since the show didn't portray them much, e.g. John Wick at least gave the puppy more screen time to make us sympathetic to John's rampage. Again, anytime you have something happening to children or animals, it's just that's my trigger point. I hate seeing stuff happen to children and animals. It's just it's unnecessary sometimes. But like you said, in John Wick, it did kind of show that it showed before in John Wick in particular. I'm glad you actually brought that up. because in John Wick in particular, we knew ahead of time what that dog meant to him. Obviously, he had just lost his wife, and this dog was a last parting gift from his dying wife to, her last attempt to give John some kind of way to grieve and heal over the loss. So going into that scene, we knew how much the dog meant to John Wick. So seeing him lose that dog, it was that much more impactful than just losing a dog that we don't really know. So it's a really good comparison. When you establish that emotional connection ahead of times, it just makes things land a little bit harder, in my opinion. But either way, it's still going to be dark. Philly D says there was a leaked scene on Reddit a couple days ago for season 2. You can tell it was a long take during a thunderstorm at Harrenhal of Daemon engaging in a sword fight. It was like a 7-second clip I saw. Ooh, interesting. Yes, we are going to be seeing Daemon take Harrenhal very early on in season 2 as well. Now, in the books, when Daemon takes Harrenhal, there's no fight or anything like that. He pretty much just kind of takes it with no blood spilt. But I like if they're going to make it a little bit more of a resistance for Daemon. If Daemon does meet some kind of resistance when he is taking Harrenhal, that's a good change. I don't mind that change at all. I think that could be pretty cool. No one will watch The Acolyte after tomorrow night, says King Cobra. Yeah, I'm checked out on The Acolyte myself personally. And not even for reasons that a lot of people are complaining about it. For me, I just don't like the acting. I don't like the acting. I don't like the writing. I didn't like the dialogue.
Not very good.
It was just like it just wasn't a good show from start to finish. It hasn't been a good show so far. So yeah, I'm kind of checked out on The Acolyte. But if you like it, that is totally cool.
Absolutely, man. And we talk about things we like here, and I can't. What is the old line? My mother told me not to speak ill of the dead. The Acolyte is dead. That's all I need to say.
Oof. King Cobra asks, who's the guy that masturbates to Alicent Hightower's feet? Yes, creepy Larry Strong.
Oh, yeah,
The creepiest character in the entire show. A lot of people compare Larry's to Littlefinger, but I feel like Larry's is just 10 times creepier than Littlefinger ever was. I don't ever picture Littlefinger doing anything like Larry's did with the whole let's masturbate to your fucking feet thing. It's super creepy. It's just that was a very unsettling scene to watch from start to finish. I mean, it was just unsettling. I mean, you got this especially knowing that he's a creepy clubfoot to begin with. It's like you got a bad foot, so feet are your fetish thing. Like that's so freaking weird, bro. How bad was your childhood that this is your fetish? So yeah, this creepy Larry Strong will certainly be playing a part in season 2 and beyond on House of the Dragon. But yeah, that's him right there, creepy foot guy.
Other than that, it's a pretty interesting character, though.
It's an interesting character. Yeah, there's some interesting aspects to him. He's clearly pretty smart. He's clearly pretty good at manipulation tactics. We saw some of the kind of skullduggery maneuvering that he was doing in season 1 with his little Firefly brigade of little skullduggery minions. So I wonder if we're going to see any more Firefly action in season 2 with Larry's. But I hope we don't get any more foot scenes. Please, no more foot scenes, guys. One was enough. Do you think they will find Lucerys' corpse? Ooh, great question. I do, actually. I do think, when I first watched the scene in season 1, at the end of season 1, I thought there's no way they're going to find that corpse. It was either ripped to shreds or Vhagar just swallowed Lucerys whole. But based off some of the pics that we have got from the season 2 filming, in particular, one picture of Rhaenyra on the beach with Syrax, it looks like she's kind of kneeling before a body. So I get the feeling she might find Lucerys on the show. Which is going to be something that is going to be happening pretty early on in episode 1. Rhaenyra will be traveling back to Storm's End, to the scene of the crime, where Aemond and Vhagar unceremoniously took young Lucerys' life. So yes, we are going to see Rhaenyra search for the body, and based on that one shot that I saw, I do believe she will find either the body or some kind of, at least some kind of remains of his body, if it's not whole and intact.
Shoe or something, yeah.
a shoe. I mean, maybe his torso, a head, or something.
Yeah.
I do think she'll find something, if not his whole body. Because again, that one shot of her kind of on the beach kneeling over something, it looked like she was maybe kneeling over a body or a portion of a body. So I do think she'll find him. Yes, I do think she will find them. Let's see what else we got. Yeah, it turns out banging your sibling isn't all it's cracked up to be.
Whack it. Great
I
to
guess
see you,
not.
man.
I guess
you go.
not. Yeah, always good to see Admiral in the chat. Admiral in the chat. Always good to see Admiral. Yeah, it's not all it's cracked up to be, I guess. Shit. Maybe in season 4, Luke can rise up from the fall as a grown, bitter man. Oof, yeah, maybe he survived. That could be an interesting thing. There actually is one account in Fire and Blood. When it comes to the battle above Shipbreaker Bay, there's a few different versions of how things play out. One of the versions says that Lucerys' body is lost beneath the waves, never to be found again. One is, I believe, it's swallowed by Vhagar. But there's another rumor, I believe it's Mushrooms accounting, is that Lucerys survived the fall, but lost all his memory and lived the rest of his days out as a simple fisherman, in a nearby village. So there is that one kind of mushroom version where he does survive, although I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's toast. He's toast. Kind of think not knowing the children is a good thing. It's going to focus more on the regrets Aegon has for the way he treated them and Elena. That's a good point as well, Bernie, as well. Yeah. I mean, this event, I imagine, is going to kind of teach Aegon something that, yes, obviously it seems like he's very neglectful towards Helena. I get the feeling Aegon probably isn't the most attentive father, for instance. So yeah, maybe this blood and cheese event will kind of mature Aegon in some ways and get him to realize that he needs to kind of, protect his family. I mean, and kind of grow up. He is king now. So no, that's a good point. A very good point. Kind of like Aegon doesn't know the kid, so we don't either, but we will see his regret. Yeah, I mean, we do see there was that one leaked clip, and I have a still from it. I don't have the full scene, but I do have a still from it, I believe. There is that one clip that was recently released, and we see Aegon just bashing to ultimate. Here it is. This scene right here, I believe this is right after Aegon finds out about blood and cheese, and he just goes absolutely nuts, and he starts beating King Viserys' model of Old Valyria. And I saw that clip, and I'm thinking, no, what are you doing? Don't smash that freaking thing. That's history right there. This is your heritage. This is Old Valyria. But then again, I mean, this is a grieving father here. He just lost his child in a very gruesome way. And like you said, Bernie, I imagine he's probably very regretful for how he, treated Helena, for probably not being there for his children as much as he could have, and just being an overall little shite. But yeah, we do see that one leaked clip of him kind of just smashing Old Valyria to dust right after he finds out about blood and cheese. So yeah, I do think we will see his regret. Yeah, Larry Strong, weirdo. Weirdo, yes. Yeah, Larry Strong plays his part well. He does. In terms of the actor, Matthew Needham, I believe his name is, phenomenal actor. I mean, the dude is just, anytime an actor can get into that kind of headspace and portray a creepy character like that, because for all intents and purposes, from what I've seen in interviews and stuff, the actor playing him is a super cool guy. So yeah, it's just a that much more of a nod to his acting chops and his acting skills to be able to kind of get into that kind of mindset of a character like that. It's he's a good actor. I mean, you can't take that away from him. That's true. Very true.
Cool.
He's such a creep, but I can't wait to see him, says Mink 1973. Indeed. Super creepy. Super creepy. Let's see what else we got. And welcome, Queen Kay Lisi. Always good to have you, my friend. Always good to have you.
She's looking for her headset.
Yeah, whenever she's ready. No problem.
I'm going to unmute when I need to talk because I can't find my headset for some reason. So I just don't get any feedback.
Oh, okay. All right. No worries. No worries.
So,
But what about you, Kayla? I mean, you're just as well versed in A Song of Ice and Fire as I am, if not maybe even more. What do you think about when it comes to Aegon and the whole blood and cheese thing? After he sees the aftermath of blood and cheese, do you think this is going to change Aegon in any way?
absolutely. Why wouldn't it change him?
Yeah.
The-
In what ways? In what ways do you think it'll change him? I mean,
it's going to, I think it's going to make him more reactive and more vengeful. So, and I think
Ooh.
we're going to see that play out in Rook's Rest.
Okay. That's very interesting. Very interesting. Yes, because we do know he is going to play a part in Rook's Rest, and by then, Blood and Cheese will have already happened, and yeah, maybe that'll add some vengeance to his motivations, if nothing else.
I think
That's a
it
good point.
can. I think
Mm.
also too we're going to see him. I mean, we already know he's kind of like, at the end when he was crowned and he saw all the people and everything, how power affects people, right? So I think that we're also going to see this is something that it's kind of detrimental to his ego because he's the king,
Mhm.
or so he believes he's
Yeah.
the king, depending on whatever the case.
Mhm.
So um, you have to think that's his
Yeah.
family there that affects his intermediate family and
Mhm.
potentially someone that is an heir. So yeah, I mean, not
Yeah.
good.
It's not good, no, and I do think it's going to. I do think it's going to change him in multiple ways, and I think yes, I do think he will have that kind of vengeance streak in him afterwards, and yeah, maybe we will see that play out during Rook's Rest a little bit. But yeah, House of the Dragon is nothing like Game of Thrones. It's evil versus evil instead of good versus evil. That's why I love it. And honestly, yeah, I feel like that's what makes shows like this so good sometimes because there really isn't that just very clear cut good versus evil thing. Where, like you said, in Game of Thrones, it was pretty clear who the good guys were and it was pretty clear who the bad guys were. But here, this is much more complex. The Dance of the Dragons seems to have good and evil on both sides. So yeah, this isn't a good versus evil tale. This is more of a kind of gray versus gray, or even evil versus evil, if you want to look at it that way. And it does. It kind of it adds an interesting aspect to it. And if nothing else, the fandom has been very engaged with the whole Team Green versus Team Black thing. I know HBO has been marketing the whole Team Green versus Team Black thing. Choose your team. And the fan base has been kind of split. It seems like more people are for Team Black than Team Green, based on a lot of the polls that I've seen. But a lot of people are supporting Team Green as well. But yeah, like you said, Dre, it's one of those shows where it's not like Game of Thrones where it's just good versus evil. It's very much it's much more complicated than that, and there's more layers to it. It's much more nuanced. So that is a good point. That is a good point. We got Mac Taylor in the house. What is up, Mac Taylor? Good evening. The inter is made brighter by your presence. Well, thank you so much. The internet is made 10 times brighter by each and every one of your presence here in this chat this evening as well. So glad to have each and every one of you. I haven't heard this rumor yet, but I certainly hope it's not true. I've heard rumors that season 3 might have 6 episodes, which would be very disappointing if that turns out to be true. What happened to 10 to 13 episode seasons? I miss them, man. I'm right there with you, Philly D. I remember back even just a few years ago when shows like True Blood and stuff were on. We had 13 episodes every season, and we had a season every year like clockwork, without fail. And now, yes, we have slowly but surely started to see these seasons getting shorter and shorter in episode count and taking longer and longer to come out on top of it. So yes, it's definitely disappointing. I certainly hope House of the Dragon season 3 doesn't have only 6 episodes. I know Dunk and Egg is only going to have 6 episodes, but that's much more of a shorter story. The Dunk and Egg novellas are much shorter than Song of Ice and Fire, or even Fire and Blood for that matter. So I understand them maybe doing only 6 episodes for something like Dunk and Egg. But something like this, if they're only doing 4 seasons, season 3 and 4 needs to have 10 episodes each, or they're not going to be able to tell this story in time, or it's going to get rushed. And that's one thing I don't think any of us want to see. We want to see a very good pace, a necessary pace, as many seasons that is necessary to tell this story, no more, no less. And originally I thought, and I know George was thinking the same, 4 seasons, 10 episodes each would be enough to tell the Dance with the Dragons. Now, again, we have 8 episodes in season 2, but I'm really hoping they return to that 10 episode format in season 3 and 4. They're going to need each and every one of those 10 episodes. If they're planning to end this with 4 seasons, they're going to need every single one of those episodes in season 3 and 4. So I certainly hope we don't get 6 in season 3. That would suck. I don't think they would cut it down that much. I mean, maybe another 8 at worst, but I don't think they would ever cut it down to 6.
So you think 4 seasons is the right length? It seemed like it almost you make it a little bit more filler with that number of seasons, but I'm not sure.
I guess it depends. I mean, you definitely don't want to see something. Yeah, you don't want to see something like this get dragged on longer than necessary to the point where you do start getting those filler episodes. And I think Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon has been pretty good up until that point. You look even at Game of Thrones, there wasn't a whole lot of filler episodes. If anything, they needed more episodes to properly tell that ending. It was kind of rushed there at the end, if anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
So I hope we get 10, at least 10, and see if we get 10 episodes in season 3 and in season 4. I think that will be plenty enough to tell the rest of this story.
Yeah.
Divine Chakra in the house. What is up, Divine Chakra? Always good to see you, my friend. Hello, guys. Which characters are you most excited to meet in season 2? Excellent question. And yeah, definitely everybody in the chat as well. Definitely let me know, what characters are you guys looking forward to seeing most in season 2? Which new characters are you guys most looking forward to seeing? And for me, I think most people know this by now, but you guys know me. I am a House Stark ride or die. I love the Targaryens. Don't get me wrong. The Targaryens are great. You know, I love Fire and Blood and all that. But when it comes to A Song of Ice and Fire, and when it comes to all of these houses, House Stark has always been my favorite house personally. I love the North, being from the North myself, although Kayla will refer to me as a Southerner because I'm in Southern Mass instead of Northern Mass like her. She likes to wield her. Yeah, she likes to wield it over me. But no, you know, I've just always been more connected to the North. I love House Stark. I love all of the lore and history surrounding House Stark, their kind of weird connection to the others potentially in the Long Night, and just the long lineage and that gets traced all the way back to the First Men. I've just always been very fascinated with House Stark the most. So I am probably looking forward to seeing Cregan the most in season 2. But I'm also really looking forward to seeing Alice Rivers as well. I think Alice Rivers is going to be a really good character. What about you, Kayla? Which characters? Yeah, Alice Rivers is going to be she's going to be awesome, I think. I think they got a great actress to play her, too, in Gail Rankin. What about you, Kayla? Who are you looking forward to seeing most? New characters are you looking forward to seeing most? And chat as well. Let us know which ones you guys are looking forward to seeing.
Well, the same 2 as you. But then I also want to see Silver Denny's. I want to see Hugh the Hammer. I want to see Ulf.
Dragon Seed.
So I want to see all the dragon seeds. And I'm really, really hoping that all this BS about Nettles, that on the last episode, that we at least see her. I don't care if she has a line or not, but that way we just know that she's going to be in the next season. Because it will be so bad. I will be really upset if we don't get Nettles in this show.
Yeah, she's one of the more interesting characters in the book.
She's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I love Nettles, and again, I kind of refer. LML said something very interesting that I very much agree with a few weeks ago. When it comes to the character of Nettles, she's a great POV character to show what kind of effect this war is having on the small folk. When you look at the Dance of the Dragons, it's all of these highborn royals with all of these dragons fighting their Game of Thrones. But Nettles is a commoner, low-born character that's kind of thrown right into the middle of all of these royal characters. So it would be really interesting to see that kind of grounded POV take from a character like Nettles, where she is kind of that small folk representation, and we see the kind of impact that the war has on her compared to some of our other characters, which is even explained a little bit in Fire and Blood, especially after the Battle of the Gullet in particular. We see the kind of toll that the battle takes on Nettles compared to what it takes on characters like Hugh and Ulf the White, where sometimes you see Hugh and Ulf the White were kind of reveling in the Battle of the Gullet, where Nettles was affected by it. She just got done burning and killing dozens, if not hundreds of people, and it really affects her. So yeah, I think the show will. I think it would be a big detriment to the show if Nettles isn't on the show. I think she's too important of a character. She's the most popular dragon seed by far, and the most important one too, because she plays a pretty big part in the story later on. And replacing Nettles with Rhaena, I think is just it's two polar opposites. These two characters could not be more different from one another. I don't buy Rhaena, very timid and docile Rhaena. I don't picture her ever being able to kind of tame a wild dragon like Sheepstealer. Whereas Nettles, she's got that grit. She crawled her way up from nothing. It seems like she's got scars on her nose. You can tell she's been through the shit. So it's very more believable seeing someone like her kind of bend a dragon to her will. And then all of the part that she's going to play later on, in seasons 3 and 4 with her and Daemon in the Riverlands, hunting Aemond, and her part with Rhaenyra and the Dragon Seeds. Like, Nettles is just too important of a character to cut. So I really hope that rumor isn't true.
I mean, and Rhaena and Bela are supposed to be complete opposites of each other, even though they're twins. Yeah. And Rhaena is the one that is more girly, and just depending on what they want to do later on down the line, I think it ruins her story. It ruins everything that happens with her and Morning's birth, which is pretty important. I mean, I don't think that they're going to get that far in this. I think it's going to end with like Aegon being coronated. Well, Aegon the Third being coronated, like his coronation. Yeah. That's how I think it will end up, or a wedding, of some sort. But still, it's just very important. Her role is important in a different way to all of the lore and all of the stories in Fire and Blood. I mean, it pretty much, her dragon is kind of like the last healthy dragon.
It's the last dragon. Yeah, she becomes the last dragon rider, and it's just. She's got her own story. That's why I'm not a big fan of kind of swapping her in with Nettles, because Rhaena has a great story all on her own, and so does Nettles. So to not give both of these characters their proper story, I think it would be a little bit of a detriment to the show. But yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see.
I mean, and Nettles is a character that if they wanted to do another spin-off series, they most definitely could just do a spin-off series with Nettles, as long as they have her appear during this. Yeah, and the reason why is because of some of the rumors about her, and is she responsible for the Burning Men? There's just a lot they could do with her, I feel, and she is definitely a fan favorite. And I think it would be just a complete injustice. And give the fans what they want. I'm sorry. Yeah. House of the Dragon does not have any room for errors. The first season was great. Obviously, there were some very minor deviations from the source material. Not a big deal, other than the thing with Laenor, where it really affects the lore completely.
Laenor was the only change that really kind of hurts continuity. Everything else was pretty good, I thought.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. But yeah, it just, I don't know. I think they just don't have room. Everyone, like most people, are still kind of sour over how Game of Thrones ended for the most part. They don't have room to fuck up. They don't. It's just what it is realistically.
I think they know that. I can't imagine that the executives didn't lay that out very clearly when both season 1 kicked off. Then after season 1, because there was some criticism. I'm one of them too, man. I did not like that time jump, how they handled it at all. And I'm sure that was reiterated to him, like, hey, and then some of the choices they made, look, it's a good series, but we can admit there's a few issues with it. And I think that was probably reinforced because, I mean, HBO's in the business to make money. They want to keep their members happy. They want people watching this. They want people subscribing. So they're going to drill down and go, look, we're not doing that again. I'm sure that happened. But to answer your question, Jeremy, too, about what characters do I want to see? There's two I want to see: Sheep Stealer and Cannibal. I'm going to be disappointed if I don't get either. But here's where I go off the beaten path, because I want to see Benjicott Bloody Ben Blackwood show up in some way. Because, man, reading the section where he shows up, which all his little he is a badass, and he's a badass that's like a tertiary character. He's a kid, and he's kicking the shit out of adults, man. I want to see more of that. Like that's the world we live in, where I'm sorry your dad's dead, you're now the head of the family, and oh yeah, by the way, you got to go lead the army. And he, oh, okay, and then he goes out and kicks ass, and at the end of it he's not broken by the world yet. That's the moment he breaks, because at the end of the battle he weeps openly over all the dead, because he's still a kid, and it's he's experiencing all this way too fast, and he hasn't had a chance to grow up yet. And in that moment he has to grow up and be a man, and his reaction to it is to weep. And then he becomes a badass after that, where he just pushes everything deep down inside and goes off. And that's awesome. I love seeing that. You don't see characters, even tertiary characters, given weakness like that too often, where they have that moment. And I think that's great. And they need to show that on screen.
No, that's a very good pick. That's a very good
I was just thinking, are we getting Battle of the Burning Mill at all?
Yes, I've heard rumors that they are doing something with the Battle of the Burning Mill. Just rumors, but I have heard a rumor that there's some kind of Battle of the Burning Mill adaptation. I know we're certainly going to be getting a good amount of Blackwood versus Bracken action.
I love it.
We do see that. Yeah, we do see that one little scene, and I love it too. I mean, it was a great introduction to the Blackwood versus Bracken rivalry in season 1 when Rhaenyra is at Storm's End. Just freaking awesome scene. But yeah, we do see in some of the season 2 trailers, there is that one shot of it looks like a little bit of a confrontation about to break out between a Blackwood and a Bracken. So we are going to get some of that. Will it be a full-blown, full-pitch battle? Maybe not, but I have a feeling they're going to be touching on it at least, because it is kind of a prelude to Rooks as well.
So I'm thinking, all this may get his wish, though, if they do show Battle of the Burning Mill or something of that sort, right? Because that's when Benjicott loses his father.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that means that even if he doesn't appear in this season, which I don't know if he will or not, he'll end up appearing in next season. If I'm just judging, I know they're not going to do every single battle, and I know that battles are going to be more than likely done out of order. But right now we're in 129 AC, and pretty much they'll probably be covering 129 AC all the way to 131 AC, which would be down to, I think, what's the last one? So it would be 131 would be the Battle of King's Road and the Hour of the Wolf.
Got to do the Hour of the Wolf.
They have to do the Hour of the Wolf. Yeah. I need that in my life. I need that. So that's what I'm assuming. And right, if possibly, I don't know, say they do end up going into a little bit into 130 AC, it would make sense that they have 4 seasons. I would just expect season 3 to be very battle heavy. I would want it to be very battle heavy, because there's a shit ton of events that happened.
I think you could split that period easily up into 2 seasons, though.
130?
Easily.
Absolutely.
Easily. Like, honestly, if at this pace, they could easily do 5 seasons, and it wouldn't be stretching it at all in the slightest. Like you said, there's so many freaking battles that take place during the Dance of the Dragons, like big freaking battles.
Right.
Battle of the Fish Feed, the Tumbleton battles. There's so much big stuff that still needs to happen.
Because
I can't wait for the Butcher's Ball.
I mean,
yes.
Maybe, like in a way, I kind of wish that they spent one season with the younger cast instead of doing the time jump, and then season 2, they would have been older. Because I feel like we could get more in an aspect, and I just want to see everything. I just want to see everything. I'm greedy.
More is
I just want
better.
more. So
let me catch up on the chat a little bit. Let's see some of the characters that you guys were hoping to see in season 2 as well. Oh, but first, I see a $5 super chat from Leo V. Thank you so much, Leo V, for the $5 super chat. Thank you, my friend. Is Team Green attacking Dragonstone and vice versa, Team Black attacking King's Landing? Which is better fortified out of the two? Do they say in the books? I mean, King's Landing, if defended properly, might be a little easier to defend, but Dragonstone's a very complicated castle, especially in the book. The Dragonstone in the book they describe it as a very queer foreign castle. There's really nothing like it in Westeros, so it's a lot different than at least I picture it a lot different in my mind than the Dragonstone we get on the show. But if we're talking just about the show version of Dragonstone and the show version of King's Landing, I don't know. What do you think, Kayla? Which one would you rather lay siege to?
Which one would I rather lay siege to?
Show version of King's Landing or show version of Dragonstone? Which one do you think would be easier to take?
That's a good question.
Oh, that's a good question.
I have to really think about that. I mean, I would like to say King's Landing just because there are more dragons, but then Aemond has Vhagar, you know? It's a good question. It depends on who the players are that are around.
Yeah.
That's what matters. Now, it depends on who's at Dragonstone, because I'm sorry, but if you're going to attack Dragonstone with Daemon there and everyone I wouldn't do it.
And vice versa, when I think of King's Landing, like when Rhaenyra takes King's Landing, when it's under her control, at any given time, there's like 5 dragons patrolling King's Landing. If Rhaenyra is in control of King's Landing during the height of her kind of power, I think King's Landing is definitely going to be the harder of the two to take. With 5 dragons patrolling the walls, fortified walls, you have the City Watch, which is fiercely loyal to Daemon, plus all of Rhaenyra's banners. If Rhaenyra is in King's Landing with all of her banners, I think King's Landing is going to be a little harder to take. But that's a great question, man. That is a great question. And thank you so much for the $5 super chat. You guys know what that means. Anytime a super chat comes in, a whoa is owed. Here we go. Cover your ears, guys.
Whoa!
Thank you.
I gotta love the whoa.
Gotta love the woes. Got to live the woes. All right, let me get back up into the chat and find my spot where I left off, because I'd love to see some of the characters you guys are looking forward to seeing. Kiwi Skirt is looking forward to seeing Cregan. Hell yes, I feel you there. Got BB in the house. Blood and cheese. Blood and cheese is coming. They are coming. Catspaw would love to just see Stark family-oriented series sometime in the future. I mean, I would love to see any kind of series that's just solely surrounding House Stark. Preferably, I would love to see a prequel, personally. That's why I was really bummed when the Long Night prequel got canceled. Unfortunately, that show just wasn't heading in the right direction. But the idea, the concept of a original Long Night series surrounding House Stark, that would be freaking awesome to see. Like, that's like my dream, a Song of Ice and Fire show at some point.
Like the Age of Heroes?
Yeah. Show me the Age of Heroes. Show me the Long Night. Show me all of that goodness.
Give me the whites on the freaking ice spiders.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Cannibal is Admiral Wackass's #1. Hell yes.
Yeah,
but hell yeah. But as far as humans, Cregan, hell yes. Bring on Cregan Stark. What is up, Nosferatu the Vampire? Good to see you in the chat, and welcome everybody who has joined us this evening. We are less than 24 hours away now from House of the Dragon Season 2 hitting our screens, and we are pre-gaming this week. As we will be doing every Saturday right here on the channel, we will be doing a pre-game show every week right here, Saturday, 10 p.m. Eastern. So, yeah, hopefully you guys come back and hang out with us as we pre-game before each and every one of these episodes. And, of course, I will be doing my regularly recorded episode review videos as well.
Gotcha.
But, yeah, great.
Hey, I have a question. Is Nosferatu's icon, is that Kurt Barlow from Salem's Lot, or is that from a Nosferatu movie?
Ooh, I don't know.
Because it looks like Barlow, man. I just watched Salem's Lot earlier this week with the wife again, and it's like, man, that series is so great. But that's why it came to mind.
And you know what I love about Salem's Lot, or what I love about Chapelwaite? Unfortunately, Chapelwaite got canceled by MGM after only one season, which is so unfortunate because Adrian Brody is such a good actor, and that was such a good show. But Chapelwaite is actually a prequel to Salem's Lot, officially.
Yeah,
is it?
Yep.
Yeah. It's an official prequel to Salem's Lot. I didn't even realize that until after I watched the series. And then when I heard it, I thought, okay, that makes total fucking sense, because there's a lot of similarities when you think back. But yeah, if you guys are a Salem's Lot fan, check out Chapelwaite on MGM Plus. It's a pretty good prequel to the story. Good stuff. I definitely want Aegon's Conquest because I want to see Balerion in action, says BB. Yes. Hell yes. I mean, I really want to see. I mean, who doesn't want to see Balerion, the Black freaking Dread, in full glory? Like, yes, give me that. I mean, I love Vhagar. Vhagar is a phenomenal dragon. I know, Kayla, you're a huge Vhagar fan, but I know, at least for Kayla and I, we weren't the biggest fans of the show design of Vhagar. I'm just not a big fan of it myself, personally. I mean, it just doesn't come across as the dragons that George describes in the book, that are much more kind of fire made flesh, much more magical element to them. You don't see the dragons kind of, you don't see their scales start to decay and chunks of them fall off. And they certainly don't get cancer in the book like they do on the show, according to Miguel Sapochnik anyway. Yeah, Miguel Sapochnik said when, at least for the show version of dragons, Miguel Sapochnik said once they get a little bit older, their bones start to break down and they essentially get cancer. And that's it's just a little bit of a different version than of the book dragons. And I get what the show is going for. The show is going for much more of the kind of animalistic approach to the dragons, just make them animals that happen to breathe fire. But in the books, they're a little bit more of a magical element to them. But no, I wasn't a huge fan.
I mean,
what's that?
Get a cold or allergies? That'd be pretty dangerous.
Dragons don't like the cold, though. They don't like the cold.
No, they don't like the cold. They don't like the cold. But in the books, the older they get, the thicker their hide gets, the thicker their scales get, and the stronger their fire gets in particular. So the older a dragon gets, the more formidable they become. There's only ever been one dragon that's ever died of old age, and that's Balerion the Black Dread, who lived to be almost 200 years old. But other than that, no other dragon ever really lived to die from old age, unfortunately. But no, they just have a little bit more of a magical aspect in the book. They don't quite break down as much in the book as they do on the show. And again, I think the show was just going for a more simplistic, animalistic approach as opposed to the kind of magical element, which is something the shows have been kind of notorious for. Even Game of Thrones was didn't include a whole lot of the kind of magical fantasy elements that are in A Song of Ice and Fire. The show didn't really do a whole lot of that. There was a lot of magic left out of the show. And of course, House of the Dragon has to kind of follow the same continuity that Game of Thrones started. So their hands are kind of tied in some ways. But no, I just wasn't a huge fan of Vhagar's design personally. And I mean, it's a formidable dragon. It's a breathtaking dragon. Like when you see Vhagar getting claimed by Aemon in season 1, it is one of the coolest freaking scenes. That scene was very well done, apart from the bad lighting. But no, I wasn't a huge fan of Vhagar's design. I love Caraxes' design. I think the design they came up for Caraxes on the show is so cool. It is so unique. I love the long neck, and I love the kind of they really put some thought into the aerodynamics of Caraxes. I'm sure most of you have probably recognized this, but if you haven't, next time Caraxes is flying, or maybe go back and check a season 1 scene, Caraxes obviously has his main wings, but he also has a smaller set of hind wings that are on his back legs. And they specifically said that they put those there for a reason, to kind of help balance Caraxes out when he's flying, because he's so top heavy because of the freaking long neck. He needs like a second little pair of smaller wings on his legs to help stabilize him. And it makes perfect sense aerodynamically. Yeah. So a lot of thought did go into the designs of the dragons on House of the Dragon, and I really do appreciate that. I love all of the dragon designs except for Vhagar. Vhagar is pretty much the only one I just wasn't really feeling too much. I just don't like the chicken goblet neck. The little chicken goblet
the
neck.
Waddle.
Yeah,
no dragon gizzard.
For me, I was excited to finally see Vhagar on screen, but my excitement kind of just went, man, it's
never going to come across the way you see it in your head.
No, it's not. But also, it's not going to come across like the drawings in the book either, in Fire and Blood. So
yeah, it's a little bit of a different approach. It's kind of all animalistic. But another design. Another design that I cannot freaking wait to see is this one right here. Like Leo V says, freaking Vermithor. Give me Vermithor already. We saw a little brief preview of Vermithor in season 1 when Daemon goes down into the Dragon Mount and sings to Vermithor. And we also got a pretty decent shot of Vermithor in some of the recent trailers as well, which I am going to find here in a second. But Vermithor is freaking awesome, man. I cannot wait to see Vermithor in action. Between season 1 and the trailers for season 2, we've only seen very small glimpses of Vermithor, and it's all been in very, very low light down in the Dragon Mount. I want to see Vermithor actually out there in broad freaking daylight and see what this dragon really has to offer. This, of course, is the second biggest dragon that is alive in Westeros at the time. It's a little bit smaller than Vhagar, but not too much smaller than Vhagar. And if the concept art is any indication, this dragon is going to look freaking formidable.
Now, here's a question for both you and Kayla, Jared. The Dragon Slayer from 1981, like, still to this day somehow has, to me at least, better dragons than almost any other movie that's ever tried. I mean, Vermithrax Pejorative remains like the epic one.
Vermithrax was a huge inspiration for Vermithor. Like when George was thinking of Vermithor, he had Vermithrax in mind. That was a huge inspiration.
I didn't know that. I was going to ask.
You just took the words out of my mouth.
You guys, so obviously there is some connection, because that was my question. Like, is there any connection between the two? Because, man, when scene in Dragon Slayer, when it's flying, it's flapping its wings, it still looks good today.
It still holds up, man.
Yeah, and then you see what they did in this series, and it's fantastic. So I'm hoping we get that same epic moment, where you get the sense of scale and size of how big these things are.
I mean, from one of the trailers that they showed with Vhagar flying over everyone when they're definitely like in some kind of battle, or I don't know if he's going to burn the Riverlands. I mean, Vhagar, just the sheer size of Vhagar alone is just so.
Yeah. Vhagar's massive. Vhagar's absolutely massive. But yeah, Vermithor is no slouch at all as well. We got some, a decent look in season 1, but we're going to get a much better look in season 2. This was some of the original concept art for Vermithor when they were originally thinking about how they were going to design Vermithor. This was some of the earlier concept design. And, we see the version on screen has made some kind of alterations from then till now, but it's kind of similar. Let's see. Here's a better one. This is some official... Yeah, this is some official concept art of Vermithor from HBO, and I'm imagining Vermithor to look a little bit like this. I hope the goblet neck isn't there. It doesn't seem to be there in the trailer. But yeah, you look at the wing design of Vermithor. Vermithor seems to have the most unique wing design that we've seen thus far. If it's anything close to this concept art. Like if this is the Vermithor we're getting on screen, and just to give you a size comparison, this is Vermithor and this is a human. Just to give you that size comparison to see how big this dragon is, it's almost as big as Vhagar. Not quite, but almost as big. Yeah, I cannot freaking wait to see Vermithor. Bring on the Bronze Fury already.
Mm-hmm.
The wings
Hell
are
yes.
interesting because the
I love the
wings
wings.
look more bat-like than
Yes.
like
Yeah.
pterodactyl-like. Because a pterodactyl, the
Pterodactyl?
no, pterodactyl, but whatever. That they go along the line of the wing, right? So the wing is more, it's got a curved or an angled front to it. With this, it's more bat-like, so you get that sense that they have utilization of the appendages on the end of the arm, and the wing extends out to the bones there. I think it's a little bit more impressive. Like you get more of a sense of scale. Whereas if they were to do it another way, I don't think it would give that gigantic epic silhouette.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah, I love like if the wings, like just the way they look there, if they kind of retract a little bit, like that would be so freaking cool. Like just based on that kind of design, if you see the bones kind of retract a little bit and they can kind of open when Vermithor is getting ready to actually fly.
Right, like spreading his
I love
fingers.
it. Yeah, exactly. Like webbed fingers almost. Yeah. It's just a great design. I think I love all of the dragon designs. Vhagar's kind of the only one I'm not too fond of, and I don't really hate it, but I'm just not really fond of it. It's my least favorite design overall. But other than that, I love every other design on House of the Dragon. I feel like these dragons look way better than the Game of Thrones dragons. These ones you can actually clearly tell the difference between which dragon is which dragon. Whereas if you go back and look at the Game of Thrones dragons, as cool as they are, and they are absolutely cool, I love me some Drogon, don't get me wrong. But if you look at the design of Dany's dragons, each dragon is exactly the same. They're all kind of carbon copies of each other, just with slightly different color alterations. So I really like and that was one thing George really wanted to get right on House of the Dragons. He really wanted a lot of time to go into the dragon design, and George seems to be much more happy with the House of the Dragon design dragons than he was with Game of Thrones. And I am too. I think they're just very unique. There's some great designs here.
Me too. Because it showcases more of their personality, and because they're going to be fighting and everything, it's going to allow you to be able to spot which dragon is doing what in the air, even from a distance away, depending on how they shoot it. And yeah, the only thing I wish, and just as a book nerd, is that they had the different color flame. Because that's something
I was so bummed about that too. I was so bummed about that too. And again, I think that was another thing that it could have been done easily. I don't know why they did it. I feel like that and the purple eyes are two of the things that a lot of book readers were not criticizing, but it was two things that book readers were definitely making note of, that we didn't get the purple eyes. And I wasn't expecting to get any purple eyes from the Targaryens. Obviously, if they didn't do that in Game of Thrones, they can't just all of a sudden do it in House of the Dragon now. It would have been a little bit weird. So I understand the no purple eyes. But yeah, it would have been cool to see some different color dragon fire, like we get in the books. Like you said, we have Tessarion, the Blue Queen, the awesome Tessarion design. I'm a huge fan of Tessarion's design just because I really love blue. It's my favorite color. But Tessarion has this kind of blue flame that just, I imagine, looks so cool. Probably similar to the undead Viserion's flame, where it had that kind of blue color to it. Yeah, I wish we could have got some of the different color fires. Even Sunfire's fire is said to be golden, as golden as it scales. So it would have been cool to see some different color fire.
So here is where I can step in with some cool science-y shit, because I love the movie Reign of Fire, right? And in Reign of Fire, during the production of it, they actually had chemists try to explain how dragons could actually breathe fire. And they came up with the concept. There's a paper somewhere on it. I'll have to dig around and find it. I know I've got it flagged or bookmarked. But the depending on what rocks, or what the dragon could eat rocks, and then depending on the elements of those rocks, if it could produce diethylpropylene or something in its system, then it would be able to, or diethyl ether. It was diethyl ether. It could ignite it, and then depending on the different minerals in its diet, it would cause the flame to change colors. Just like if you're playing around with, homemade fireworks and you use magnesium or chromium or something. So that could explain the actual different colors of fire, depending on where the dragon is and what elements surround them and what's in their diet.
Oh, interesting.
So that's one to grow on right there.
No, I like it. I like it a lot. And yeah, it would have been pretty cool to kind of see the different color in in Dragon Flame and see how that looks on screen. But yeah, cool, it looks like we're going with regular fire, which again, regular fire is great and all too, but would have been kind of cool.
I have a question for you, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. Do you think when we get a good look at Dreamfire, that Dreamfire is going to have a similar design to like Drogon, Rhaegal, or Viserion? For sure.
Definitely. Just based on the look that we got of Dreamfire.
Yeah.
We get that one look of Dreamfire in season 1 down in the Dragon Pit, in the lower levels of the Dragon Pit, and it's very dark. There's not a lot of light down there, but you do get to kind of see the kind of silhouette and a little bit of the details in the face if you pause it at just the right moment. And based on the season 1 version, yes, Dreamfire looked an awful lot like Daenerys' dragons, and I think that's where a lot of the rumors have been coming from, or at least the theory has been kind of reignited that Dreamfire might have been the one who hatched Dany's eggs. A lot of people seem to think that might be the case.
And she's supposed to be a beautiful dragon too. She's supposed to be gorgeous, like a pale blue with silver on her.
I always imagine Dreamfire and Silverwing to be kind of similar in color, with that kind of silvery bluish color that would probably just look so great flying up north near the wall.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Jam asks, what episode do you think the Battle of the Burning Mill will take place? Now, again, I've only heard rumors, nothing confirmed, but I did hear whatever Battle of the Burning Mill adaptations is going to be coming. It's going to be happening in between episodes 2 and 3. So if we are going to get some Burning Mill action, I'm expecting it to probably be episode 2, maybe episode 3, because we know the Battle of Rook's Rest is coming in episode 4. That much has been kind of confirmed at this point. Rook's Rest is going to be absolutely nuts. A lot of people are comparing it to the Battle of the Bastards in terms of format, the way that it was filmed, where the entire episode just takes place one giant battle sequence. So we know Rook's Rest is going to be coming in episode 4. So if they are going to be doing some Burning Mill stuff, yeah, I'm expecting maybe episode 2, episode 3 around there. At least that's my best guess. I feel like Sunfire was so basic compared to the books, and you're not the only one. I actually did see, a lot of people were saying that. Now, I mean, I'm trying to remain hopeful and thinking maybe we just haven't gotten a really good, proper glimpse of Sunfire yet. We did get that one kind of look in one of those most recent trailers, and that was kind of the best look of Sunfire that we've gotten yet. And yeah, some people have been pointing out that it doesn't seem to be as impressive as it's described in the books. Of course, Sunfire is described as being the most beautiful of all of the Targaryen dragons. Here's a better shot. And here now, again, it's a quick shot. It's a shot while the dragon is in mid-flight, so it's not the best shot, but a lot of people were pointing out that it looks a little bit more orange than golden pink, which is understandable. It does kind of have some orange hues to it. I'm hoping that up close and personal, like when Sunfire isn't flying and we get like a proper shot of Sunfire, I'm hoping it looks a little bit better. But no, you're not the only one, Philippe. A lot of people have been mentioning it both in the comment sections and in other parts of online that they're not too impressed with Sunfire's design. I'm just hoping we get a better look.
It's supposed to be the most beautiful Targaryen dragon that ever existed, and I expect it to be the most beautiful dragon that ever existed, to be honest. I know there was an article and they were talking about that, I forget what it was, but at the same time, I'm like, you're doing a fantasy show. You're doing a fantasy show. So in my opinion, nothing's off limits. Make it stand out. Like, this is fantasy. So
It is fantasy. Yeah, it is fantasy.
I mean,
These are
maybe.
fire-breathing beasts, so you can have some fun with them. Yeah.
So I'm not sure yet until maybe tomorrow we'll get a glimpse. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't want to pass
I'm not sure.
judgment yet, but from the shots that we are seeing, I mean, looks a lot like Cyrax.
It
in, like,
does
a
have
couple
some
shots.
similar. It does have some similar Cyrax attributes to it in terms of kind of the shape of the dragon and color in certain shots. I'm hoping up close and personal we'll be able to kind of differentiate them a little bit better once we get some better shots. But no, yeah, you weren't the only one that pointed it out. A lot of people are kind of pointing out the design of Sunfire, but I'm thinking it's just we just haven't gotten a great shot of Sunfire yet. And once we get a up close and personal shot, I'm thinking the dragon will probably look a little bit more impressive because we do see a little bit of the gold. I mean, we can clearly see they did try to get the gold effect there, but again, this is a shot of the dragon in mid-flight. We haven't got really good close-up shots of Sunfire yet, so I'm hoping it looks a little bit more impressive when it's when the dragon's just stationary. And yes, it was probably just cheaper to copy and paste the dragons in Game of Thrones. Absolutely, I'm pretty sure that's exactly why they did it. It's just a little bit easier. You just copy and paste the design, alter the coloration a little bit, and that's it. And I get it. All three dragons came from the same hatch. Presumably. I mean, that's assumed. We really don't really know where Daenerys' dragons' eggs came from. There's a lot of good theories, but in terms of actual facts, we really don't know where these dragon eggs came from. But yeah, I think you're right, Caspar. I think it was just easier and cheaper to copy and paste. Sorry, Steve.
Yeah. Was it more important to have to differentiate the dragons here because you had more?
Yes.
They're more important to the story, I guess.
Yeah. Not only is there way more dragons during this, but like you said, they're far more essential to the actual story. The dragons are pretty much characters in and of themselves during the Dance of the Dragons. They're not just accessories like they kind of are in Game of Thrones. The dragons are, like you said, there's much more of them. They're much more prevalent and integral to the actual story. This war is pretty much centered around dragons and dragon fights. So yeah, I think it was a little bit more important that they make sure that they make each and every one of these dragons as unique as possible, so people can really identify which dragon is which, not just when they're flying around, but most importantly during dragon combat. If we remember and we think back to the dreaded Long Night in Game of Thrones season 8, when it got to some of the dragon fights, at times it was really hard to tell which dragon was which. They all looked very similar. It was very dark. The lighting wasn't too great. So it was really hard to tell which dragon is which when they were fighting during the Long Night. The only time you could tell which one was which was when the Night King kind of let out some blue fire. That was the only time you could really tell which dragon was which. But that was one of the big criticisms coming out of the Long Night episode. So I think they definitely had that in mind when crafting the House of the Dragons. I think they wanted to make sure that the audience that there was no mistakes, that the audience could tell clearly which dragon is which dragon. And I think they've achieved that. I think they've done a good job of that up until this point. For sure. We got Ravener in the house. I want to see Balerion's black fire with red. Yes, I mean, Balerion's fire is just so nuts. The dragon's so old. And what is up, Lord Ravener? Good to see you, my friend. Yeah, man, hell fucking yeah. I really hope the Conquest gets greenlit because yes, I mean we all know the story of the Conquest. We all know what happens, but I just want to see freaking Balerion in live action, just in all of his glory, in his prime. And of course, Kayla, you'll be able to get to see a Vhagar in her prime hopefully without the Gobbleneck. But yeah, the black fire of Balerion with the little red swirls in it, that would probably look so cool on screen. Hell yeah. Hell yes. Give Cannibal green flames, F the cannon. That's what I was hoping. Yes, I mean, when it comes to Cannibal, black flame would be great, or like you said, green flame to kind of match the green eyes. Because Cannibal is such a cool design where it's, black is coal, but it's got that deep green eyes. So yeah, I think green fire for a dragon like Cannibal would be so freaking cool looking. Hell yes. Hell yes. Let's see what else we got. Any other color would be nice. Yeah, it would be. Any other color would really be cool at the end of the day. Sunfire is supposed to be the most beautiful dragon who ever lived, at least in Westeros. Yeah, at least in Westeros. I mean, we have obviously Valyria had so many dragons of their own, many of which we know very little about. But at least in terms of the dragons of Westeros, yes, Sunfire is said to be the most beautiful. So Sunfire basically catfished us. Maybe a little bit. Maybe a little bit. Again, I'm waiting till we get a nice close-up version of Sunfire before I pass full judgment. What is up, Starlight? Good to see you, my friend. Welcome, welcome, welcome. They could have put a little more sparkly gold on Sunfire. Yeah, I mean, twilight him up a little bit. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Hell yes. All right, let's see what else we got. I'm trying to remember who it was that ran off with the 3 dragon eggs on a ship earlier in the story before the Dance with the Dragons. Was that Sarah Targaryen?
Elisa Farman.
Elisa Farman. Elisa Farman. I'm thinking
Yeah,
of
she
Sarah
stole the
and,
dragon eggs
Belinda.
and then went to Pentos
Yes.
with them.
Yeah.
And then
yeah.
she basically it was crazy. She just stole them from the Dragonstone hatcheries.
Yes, that's right. I forgot about that. No, that would be cool. I mean, when it comes to Jaehaerys' reign, I mean, so much happens during. I know Jaehaerys' portions of Fire and Blood aren't the most exciting. That's kind of the part in Fire and Blood where it gets a little bit of a slog. There's not a whole lot happening. There's no wars. I mean, and it says a lot about Jaehaerys' reign as a whole, where he reigned for around 55 years. And had a relatively peaceful reign for the most part. He had some small uprisings between the faith here and there. But for the most part, Jaehaerys' reign was pretty long and pretty prosperous. But it doesn't make for the most exciting reading during Fire and Blood.
But he was ready to go to war over that situation, though. He was like, if there are any dragon hatchlings that pop about, he was ready to, go on Vermithor and just destroy everything.
Yep. Mount that bronze fury and just go to town. Hell yes. But yeah, no, this is another one that I would love to see as well, of course. Balerion the Black Dread melting down the towers of Harrenhal like freaking twisted candles. That is what I want to see. And speaking of that, I imagine it would probably look a little something like this.
Yield now, and you may remain as Lord of the Iron Islands. Yield now, and your sons will live to rule after you. You see my army outside your walls. You see my dragons.
What is outside my walls is of no concern. Those walls are strong and thick.
Dragons fly.
But stone doesn't burn.
When the sun sets, your line shall end.
Harren spat and returned to his castle. Once inside, he promised lands, riches, and Tully's daughters to whoever could bring down Aegon or his dragon. As the sun sank below the horizon, all of Harren's men patrolled the battlements, hearing wings in every gust of wind. But the moon rose and sank, and no dragon appeared.
While the Ironborn were ringing the battlements, Aegon drove his dragon Balerion higher and higher in the night sky, so that even the great castle of Harrenhal looked like an anthill below them. Then they plunged straight into the castle, well inside the guarded walls. The 5 towers of Harrenhal reached towards Aegon like a hand. Balerion opened his mouth and bathed all the fingers in flame.
Harren was right. Stone doesn't burn, but men do, even when they're Ironborn. The dragon blasted my ancestors into ash that choked the survivors when they screamed. Harren's soldiers leapt from the battlements and died. They huddled against the walls and died. They fled across the yard and died. Harren and his sons took shelter inside the castle. The stone didn't burn, but as Balerion blasted it with fire, it glowed white hot. The world's greatest castle became the world's greatest oven, baking the last of House Horror within it.
Hell yes, do I want to see the freaking conquest. I think the conquest, again, we know what happens, but I think there's so many ways that they could make the conquest a very interesting show, even though we already know the outcome, even though it's a little bit one-sided for the most of it. There's some great Dorne moments that give Aegon a big challenge, and they can really dive deep in it and really kind of explore the dynamic between Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya. How did they get along? Were Rhaenys and Visenya's friends? Were they rivals? Like, there's so many nuanced things that they can kind of dive into with Aegon's conquest. And of course, yes, we would get to see Balerion the Black Dread in live action, the burning of Harrenhal, the Field of Fire, the Last Storm. So many big moments during the conquest. I would love to see that. Hopefully, it gets greenlit. Fingers crossed.
It needs to get greenlit, and they better have someone amazing playing Visenya.
That's the thing. Casting for the conquest would not be easy. It's you got to get these characters right. And again, I have specific actors that I would love to see play Aegon, Rhaenys, and Visenya. Although none of them would ever get cast in the role. HBO tends to go for unknown actors when they go for leads in their Song of Ice and Fire series, and I think that's the right call. Go with an actor or an actress that isn't well established, that doesn't have a big name, that isn't always being compared to some other role that they played. Give an actor or an actress a chance to kind of grow into these roles. That's why I really enjoy the casting for Game of Thrones and House of the Dragon. Their core characters, for the most part, were unknowns, like Daenerys, Jon Snow. A lot of Arya, Sansa, a lot of these actors weren't big names. They kind of got to grow into these roles.
So what you're telling me is if I take an acting class and I just show up there in a blonde wig, I get a chance.
Yeah, maybe. Sure. But are you sure we don't want to just go with Anya Taylor-Joy? I mean,
no, please no.
Is she available?
Please.
No, definitely not.
Please not. Please not.
Has she been in something?
Nothing
recently?
against Anya Taylor-Joy. I mean, she's great. Don't get me wrong, but I just feel like she's cast in everything these days, and it's just let's get some other castings. But yeah, I want to see the battle between Caraxes and Vhagar so bad. Hell freaking yes. Obviously, I think when it comes to the battle above the God's Eye, it is probably the moment I'm probably looking forward to seeing the most on screen, with the exception of the Hour of the Wolf in Cregan. The event that I want to see the most, yes, is Vhagar versus Caraxes, battle above the God's Eye, Daemon versus Aemond. It's just, it's such a epic and a very Shakespearean and poetic story, and a very poetic and Shakespearean ending for these two characters, especially with them being family, uncle and nephew. Yes, this is one event that the show absolutely has to get right. In terms of like pivotal events that the show really needs to get right, there's a few things that they can't mess up. Hopefully that they don't mess up anyway. And this is definitely one of them. I feel like this is the climactic moment of the entire Dance of the Dragons. I feel like Daemon versus Aemon is, for the most part, what the entire war builds up to. I know the war is technically, Rhaenyra versus Aegon, but for the most part, it's Daemon versus Aemon as well. So everything that leads up, the tension between these two characters, and everything that happens, that ensues leading up to the Battle above the God's Eye, yeah, this is something that I cannot wait to freaking see. And hopefully this will be another one of those events that gets an entire episode dedicated to it. I know the battle itself is rather quick in the book. It doesn't last too long, but there's ways that they could easily expand upon that and draw it out a little bit more. Make this Battle of the God's Eye one full episode dedicated to it. Really take your time with it. Show Daemon in Harrenhal by himself while he's waiting for Aemon, those 11 days where he's just in Harrenhal by himself, just him and Caraxes walking the empty halls of Harrenhal. That is what I want to see. Daemon going out to the courtyard, slashing that weirwood tree with Dark Sister to mark each day's passing. Those are the things that I want to see. Everything leading up to the battle, just as much as seeing the battle itself. So yeah, this is one I think a lot of us can't wait to see.
Yeah, they're not gonna do that in season 2. The ramifications of that episode would cause them to lose their primary draw.
No,
as
that'll
much
probably be
as
the final season.
It's gonna
yeah,
probably
as
be
much as I'm not a big fan of Matt Smith, he carries the show. He's the name. They're not going
He's
to
the
do
big
that.
draw. Yeah,
Yeah.
He is.
he is.
Yeah, that
I mean,
needs to be a
the-
whole episode.
Okay.
It just needs to be a whole entire episode, and it needs to be like almost like Blackwater style. That's what it needs.
even
to
more, even bigger. I feel like it needs to be like
be. It needs
bigger
to be
than
everything
anything
that
they've
the
ever
short
done.
inconvenience wasn't.
Like, yeah, it's everything that it would exactly, Kayla. Hell yes, it needs to be everything that the short night wasn't. Because yeah, it's the ultimate climactic battle in the entire Dance with the Dragons. Yes, there's still plenty of stuff that happens after that, but that really is the climactic moment of the war. Daemon versus Aemon finally coming to blows after everything, after all the time Daemon and spends hunting for him, and Aemon kind of going on his reign of terror on Vagar and the Riverlands. It's one of those huge big moments that the entire fandom is going to be waiting with bated breath until when that episode comes around, and I can't wait to see how they handle it. Like, I cannot wait to see what they do with that freaking scene.
And I mean, the only thing afterwards, after that, we have riots at King's Landing that occur and everything. That's when the storming of the Dragon Pit also happens.
Yeah, we got some big stuff that happens afterwards.
I really do hope that they have like, even though I don't want to see it, because dragons. I hate seeing anything happen to the dragons, to be honest. And like, fuck people.
I know, and that's why with all this whole Team Black versus. Yeah, that's why the whole marketing plan with the whole Team Green versus Team Black, choose your side. Me personally, you guys know me. I'm choosing neither Team Black or Team Green. I'm Team Dragon, and obviously, I like Team Smallfolk as well. But at the end of the day, I am Team Dragon. I am on the side of the dragons. They are they're my team personally. But that is totally cool if you are Team Black or Team Green. It seems like a lot of people are declaring their team. But yeah, I'm Team Dragon at the end of the day. It's the dragons are my dudes.
Yeah. But I do want to see the Shepherd, and I do hope they cast somebody freaking crazy to play the Shepherd character. Because
I know you and I were talking about this, Kayla, where we thought Jonathan Pryce would be like perfect to play the freaking Shepherd. It's unfortunate that he was, had such a big prominent role in Game of Thrones as the Sparrow, which is a very similar character. But yeah, someone like Jonathan Pryce would have been so good as the Shepherd.
The only other person that I think who might be a good Shepherd, I need to look up the actor's name, and I don't know why I feel this way, but Gustav Skarsgård, the guy that played Floki on Vikings.
Floki,
because
another
I don't know why.
Skarsgård.
Yes,
there's another Skarsgård.
But I just feel like
reset the clock.
He's enigmatic. Like, he's an enigmatic character, and he has to be very well spoken, but then he's just batshit crazy. So, and I don't know. I just feel like the actor that played Floki can play this one-handed crazy ass shepherd, and like with all his little lambs and everything. So
maybe he could. And Floki was
any actor come out of like the greater Scandinavian region that his last name wasn't Skarsgård?
I think they're all Skarsgård.
It doesn't.
Well, there is Christoph Haiju, Tormund Giantsbane. That's the only other one I can think of.
There you go. So there's two.
It's like there's
a lot of
Skarsgårds
that Skarsgård family is incredibly talented.
I don't even know if they're related. Are they even related?
I don't know about Matt Skarsgård, but Stellan Skarsgård, Peter Skarsgård, Alexander Skarsgård. There's so many talented Skarsgårds. But yeah, Aaron is asking. They're like the modern. Someone brought this up the other day. I forget who, but it's 100. Yeah, they're the modern day Baldwins of Hollywood. They really are. Like, they're the modern day Baldwin.
They really are, actually.
Dear God, if any Hemsworth ever has a daughter and marries him off to a Skarsgård, every film in 30 years will
Can you imagine?
Aaron Williams is asking. Ariane Williams is asking what time the episode comes out. The episode comes out Sunday night at 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yes.
So we are less than 24 hours away. It is coming, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think they'll bring Laenor Velaryon back? Laenor Velaryon. I mean, that's another thing that we've gone back and forth on so much. It's a weird choice. I mean, I don't know why they didn't kill off Laenor to begin with, just considering the kind of narrative problems it causes later on with the whole Adam of Hull Sea Smoke storyline. So I'm looking forward to seeing how they handle this Laenor Velaryon problem. Obviously, again, that was probably one of the bigger deviations from the book in season 1. And I think it left a lot of the fans kind of scratching their head. Well, okay, if they're not killing him off here, how exactly is, the Adam Velaryon Sea Smoke storyline going to happen? Which we are hearing Adam Velaryon and Sea Smoke will be kind of, Adam will be claiming Sea Smoke anyway in season 2 by all accounts. But yeah, what does that mean for Laenor Velaryon? I mean, as dragon lore goes, anyone who has read Fire and Blood, George R.R. Martin was very specific in setting up dragon lore. 1 rider per dragon at a time. And we see what happens later on in Dance of the Dragons when a rider tries to ride a dragon that doesn't belong to them, that is bonded to another. It has very disastrous consequences. So not a whole lot is known about the bond between dragon and dragon rider. That's one thing that George has kept very kind of ambiguous. We know that it seems like the longer the bond, the deeper the bond becomes. Like the longer someone is bonded to a dragon, probably the stronger that bond gets. And it seems like House of the Dragon was playing with some of that as well. In season 1, we hear the Dragon Keepers talk to Jace, saying that he needs to master his dragon the same way that Aegon mastered Sunfire. So it seems like the longer someone is bonded to a dragon, the stronger that bond becomes and the more likely that dragon is to follow commands. Because we've seen what happens. These dragons just don't always follow commands. And that was set up very early on in season 1 with King Viserys telling Rhaenyra that the idea that we control the dragons is an illusion. And he was right to a certain extent. And we see that play out at the end of season 1 where Vhagar and Luke, where Vhagar and Aemond on Vhagar anyway, it seems like Aemond was trying to scare Luke. It didn't seem like he really wanted to kill him. But you see what happens when you start playing chicken with fire-breathing dragons. Accidents tend to happen. So yeah, I think when it comes to Laenor Velaryon, I don't know what they're planning. I don't know if they're going to bring him back and kill him, or if he's going to maybe get kind of killed off screen and we'll get a mention of it. There was something that we noticed a few weeks ago. The actor who plays Carl Corey is scheduled to be in 1 episode in season 2. Now that is on IMDb. IMDb isn't always 100% accurate, so it could be false. But if the IMDb page is accurate and the actor who was playing Carl Corey in season 1 is returning in season 2, it could potentially be him returning to inform Rhaenyra that Laenor maybe really is dead. We did hear Laenor say that he wanted to return to the Stepstones. The fighting in the Stepstones resumes again later on in the season. And we did hear Laenor say he wants to return to the Stepstones and fight again. So who knows? Maybe when Carl Corey and Laenor faked his death and they escaped, who knows? Maybe they ended up going down to the Stepstones, fighting a little bit undercover, and maybe Laenor really died. Or maybe Laenor died in some other way and Carl Corey will be delivering the news to Rhaenyra, and maybe that will free up Sea Smoke. But they have to do something. I mean, if Adam Velaryon just claims Sea Smoke with no explanation, that just breaks too much canon and too much dragon lore. So hopefully we'll get something with the Laenor Velaryon character. Either he'll come back and die, or it'll be mentioned that he died off screen, I'm thinking.
As long as he's unalived, there's no issue.
Right. And that can be done with one line.
I'm I'm sorry. Like, I don't care how it's done at this point, but he can't exist. He can't live on. I'm sorry.
Oof. He can't live on.
It's very harsh. I know it's very harsh, but it just ruins the lore that we know about dragons. There are consequences when it comes to dragon bonding. You know, dragon can only have 1 rider. There's just certain things that, I mean, and we will get to see some more of the bonding too, depending on what they do at Helena, because we should get a scene with Dreamfire in the pits, depending on like if they do that scene.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So with
Yeah,
regards
it's
to Akak's question here too, do you think we'll meet Mushroom? My
we
guess would
did.
be
We did meet
Yeah,
Rush.
we
yes,
We
saw
already did
him.
meet Mushroom. We
but I
see,
Oh, did
and
we?
not a lot of people know this. Yeah, well, it's not mentioned on the show. Ryan Condal only mentions it in one of the behind the scenes videos. But in season 1, episode 5, during young Rhaenyra and young Laenor's wedding, if you look closely enough in the background, you'll see a midget banging a drum. And Ryan Condal
Oh,
has confirmed that that is Mushroom. So we do see
okay.
Mushroom in season 1. I'm not expecting that he'll play any kind of narrative role. Like maybe we'll see him again in like a background scene at some point. Maybe after Rhaenyra takes King's Landing and she's holding court. Maybe we'll potentially see Mushroom like in the background at some point. I'm not expecting Mushroom to have any dialogue or anything. Maybe it'll just be another background shot. But yes, we did see Mushroom in season 1 during Rhaenyra and Laenor's wedding. He's the midget banging the drum. Ryan Condal has confirmed that is Mushroom.
right. I was gonna say I think you'll see him again at the end of the series. Like the last scene is gonna be him like telling us like finishing the story.
Narrating it.
Well, you
Yeah,
know
Like
what?
okay.
it'll be somebody like starts a sentence, it fades to black, and then it opens up into a court, and here's Mushroom, and he's finishing it, and that's the story. And then in the corner, there's going to be a maester that's writing things down. You
I
know,
mean,
it's
Ooh.
they're
Oh,
gonna
that's
yeah.
actually really good. That's like Lord of the Rings
Yeah.
kind of route.
Yeah.
It would be kind of interesting. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, you get to the end of the Dance of the Dragons and you find out that this whole thing is being told from it's Mushroom kind of recounting the events to a maester, and they're recording them down in history. They're writing the official account of the Dance of the Dragons. That
right
could
when
be a
it
pretty interesting
covers
twist to end it.
and it covers all of the dead ends and all the empty roads that were never that weren't covered, right? Because it's just a verbal history. So like, well, why wasn't
Mhm.
this included or why wasn't that? Because it's verbal, it's a story, it's changing every time he tells it, and it's
Yeah.
just in court, and he's telling it for the entertainment before a feast. And yeah, what we got was just the visual
Oh,
interpretation
yeah.
of the story. It solves all the problems if you end it that way.
Mhm.
That's actually
It,
very true.
Yeah.
I
That
think.
makes sense.
yeah,
Yeah.
it does. It kind of wraps it up in a nice little bow at the end. I think that would be a cool ending, actually. That's a good idea, Aldous. I like that. I actually
Yeah.
like that.
You know what? And
Um,
maybe I'll see freaking dragon eggs in Winterfell.
I know Kayla very, very badly wants to see Vermax laying some eggs down there in the Winterfell crypts. I would like to see that too. Don't get me wrong. The rumor about dragon eggs being down in the Winterfell crypts has been a long theory for a very long time. So that would be pretty cool to see. Another thing that would be pretty cool to see is this. Jam asks, will we see the Battle of the Gullet this season? And
Ooh.
I'm not expecting it personally. I mean, there's always a chance we could end season 2 with the Battle of the Gullet. If season 2 had 10 episodes, I feel like ending with the Battle of the Gullet would have been a good move. But now that it's cut down to only 8, I'm not sure if there's enough time to get to the Gullet. Ryan Condal did make a kind of vague statement months and months back where he mentioned they moved a very big pivotal battle that was originally going to be at the end of season 2 now has been pushed back to the beginning of season 3. And judging where we will kind of be in the timeline at the end of season 2, or around episode 8 of season 2 anyway, I have to imagine he's probably talking about the Gullet. So I'm not expecting to see the Gullet in season 2. I'm expecting that to be a pretty early event in season 3. Although who knows? You never know. Maybe they'll end up kind of shoving it in there at the end of season 2. Ryan Condal has said that they did film 2 big battle sequences for season 2. There's 2 major battles that are coming in season 2. Obviously, Rook's Rest is one of them. Who knows? Maybe they kind of shove the Gullet in there at the end of season 2, and that's the other one. But I'm not sure. Me personally, I'm expecting the Gullet to be beginning of season 3, but it could be season 2, maybe. Who knows? What do you guys think? Kayla, you think we'll see the Gullet?
Oops, sorry. No, I don't think we're going to see it. I think that's something they may open up the 3rd season with, or be early on in the 3rd season, to be honest. I just don't think there's enough episodes.
Yeah.
That's what it comes
Again,
down
if they had 10 episodes, I think if they had a full 10 episodes, then ending season 2 of the Gullet would be a little more feasible. But with only 8, it's a little tough.
So I just.
What about you, Albus? Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry.
Oh, no. That's just what I believe. Yeah, just 8 episodes. At least some of the episodes are going over time, I will say. I am.
Yes.
I'd be happy if they were all like an hour and a half, to be honest.
I would love that too. So far, the longest episode I have seen is episode 2. Episode 2 seems to be the longest episode, I think, at 74 minutes. Episode 1 is 64 minutes. Episode 4, the Battle of Rook's Rest, is actually one of the shortest episodes. Episode 4 is only 54 minutes long.
What the heck? Wait, so I'm wondering if the 4 is the intro. So I need to time the intro and see how long the intro takes, because if they're counting that extra 4 minutes, they're cheating us. I'm just saying.
Yeah, that I am not too sure about myself. But I do know episode 1 will be 64 minutes. Episode 2 is going to be around 72 minutes. So the first 2 are going to be pretty long. And we did hear them say that they were having trouble at times getting the hours down to under 1 hour. So even though we're only getting 8, I get the feeling most, if not all, of the episodes will be around 55 minutes to a little bit more than an hour each, probably.
Mm-hmm. Probably, yeah.
We'll see. We shall see. We shall see. They should move it to season 3 and have that at the end of season 3 with the God's Eye. That could potentially work. If they do the Battle Above the God's Eye at the very, very end of season 3, that could potentially work. I'm expecting God's Eye, if not at the end of season 3, then probably at the beginning of season 4, if season 4 is their final season. But again, there is a decent amount of stuff that happens after the Battle Above the God's Eye. So that's another one that's kind of hard to place. Where do you put that one? Do you put it at the end of season 3? Do you try to delay it until season 4? That way you have Matt Smith and Ewan Mitchell on another season. I mean, they're huge draws to the show, like you were saying, Aldous. Having Matt Smith is probably one of the main draws to the show. Ewan Mitchell is quickly becoming another main draw to the show. So I imagine they'll probably want those actors attached to the show for as many seasons as possible. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they delayed the Battle Above the God's Eye until the beginning of season 4. But the end of season 3 could potentially work, depending on how the pacing goes on season 2 and 3. Pacing's going to be the question. Is going to be the thing. We can't really gauge the pacing based on season 1. Just considering season 1 was so kind of all over the place and they had to kind of get through 29 years of history in only 10 episodes, it made season 1's pacing a little kind of wonky at times. But from season 2 on, it's just the war now. Everything that takes place over a span of around 2 years. It's going to be a much more linear and cohesive story. So once we see how the pace goes in season 2, I think we'll be able to be a little bit more accurately predict what season 3 and 4 will bring, because season 3 and 4 will probably follow a similar pace to season 2, as opposed to the kind of hectic pace season 1 was. So season 2 will tell us a lot. Where season 2 ends will tell us a very lot, as opposed to what's coming in 3 and 4, I think. But yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll see. Yeah. Maybe we'll see the Gullet. The Gullet's another freaking crazy battle too, in and of itself. Like, the Gullet is another one of those battles that's probably going to have to take place over an entire episode. The Gullet is the biggest and bloodiest sea battle in the history of Westeros that also happens to have a shitload of dragons involved in it as well. So the Battle of the Gullet is going to be one of the biggest things they film on the show, I would imagine.
I don't know if you're going to see it, and why I think it's going to be something that you might get a glimpse of it starting, and then it's going to cut, and you're going to get the result of it.
Yeah.
Just because it's primarily a naval engagement, which means that's expensive, and
very.
I don't think that they're spending a lot of money on this, but man, when you're talking, you think. Think of Master and Commander, which is the last naval movie I can think of. They had nothing but issues. When you put boats on water and you're trying to film, man, that's just bad news. Because
they'll do CGI, though, right?
Well, even with CGI, you still need to have practical sets. And if you're going to use CGI, that's even more money because now you've got rendering time, and now you've got to kick it over to the software boys and the special effects guys to do all that work. But you still got to build sets and building. Now you're talking a tank because you're still going to have water. So it's just it's the complexities start adding up fast. And if you look at the history of films that do that, man, usually it's a brutal shooting session. So while it's important, I think you might get a glimpse of it, but I don't think we're going to see it.
Yeah, I think that's probably a good idea. Like if we see the prelude to it, if we see the beginnings of the gullet, like obviously a few things happen before the gullet. We see Jace kind of sends his younger siblings over to Pentos to kind of keep them safe until Rhaenyra can take King's Landing. And of course, that is when their ship gets kind of intercepted by the Triarchy. I could totally see season 2 ending on an event like that, where season 2 kind of ends with the Triarchy coming into the gullet, taking captive of Rhaenyra's sons. That could be a pretty good season 2 ender, and then boom, you're kind of perfectly setting the gullet up for the beginning of season 3. I could see that happening. That's a good way to end season 2, I think.
That's how I imagine it to happen, because I think that would be a great episode to start season 3 with.
Imagine that if season
like
3,
that.
yes, season 3, episode 1. Imagine that being the gullet. Imagine opening up season 3 with something like the freaking gullet.
Fucking phenomenal. Go straight into action.
Nuts.
I would love that.
That'd be so nuts.
That would be so unique, so different, and
well, it would be kind of on par. I mean, we're seeing season 2 is opening up with blood and cheese. So if they kind of keep that trend going, where each season opens up with a big event, it could work. It could work.
Well, they have to outdo blood and cheese, so they might as well go for the gullet.
Yeesh. Do you think we will see the cannibal? I do. I don't think we'll see him in season 2, but I think the cannibal will probably make an appearance in season 3. Ryan Condal has mentioned we will see wild dragons on the show. Obviously, we're definitely going to get Sheep Stealer in season 2. I don't think we'll get cannibal in season 2, but I'm hoping we'll get some cannibal action in season 3. Hopefully. That does look like Nettles in the dragon pick. If she isn't in it, why do you think she's been kept in such a secret? Yeah, I'm not sure. We do have that one image that was leaked during the filming of season 2. And a lot of people thought this was Nettles. We see this. Yeah, I did too when I first saw it as well. These are the dragon seeds. This is Kieran Bew. And Karen Bew is playing Hugh the Hammer. So it looks like these are dragon seeds. So yeah, when a lot of people saw this, they thought this was Nettles. And again, I thought this was Nettles too when I first saw it as well. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we're going to have to wait and see if the rumor is true.
I mean,
I do know one thing.
It's for a draw. It's because they want you to watch to find out, because the curiosity is going to kill you. However, I don't like how they kind of not announce it, because it can also, it's like a double-edged sword.
Yeah,
so
it could throw people off to watch.
It could make
there's
people
an interesting detail.
What?
There's one interesting detail, and this was something I only just found out recently. The YouTube channel History of Westeros did a awesome interview with Ryan Condal last week. If anyone hasn't seen it, definitely get over there and check it out after the stream. A phenomenal interview with the showrunner Ryan Condal. And in the comment sections, I believe one of them said that they were told not to ask about Nettles before the interview. So that's pretty interesting. That kind of just gets my wheels turning even more. Does that mean Nettles will be there? Does that mean Nettles won't be there and they want to keep it a secret? I don't know. I 50-50 at this point, but I hope they do include Nettles. I think she's such an interesting character. And again, we get that awesome kind of POV of the small folk from Nettles' POV. So I think leaving her out would be a detriment. Personally, I hope we see her, but yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see if the rumor is true.
Well, I think I'm hoping, I want to be positive here. I'm hoping that they're just saying stuff to get us in an uproar and hoping that people hate watch in an aspect, and then she's going to show up and everyone's going to be like all amped up, and then more people are going to go back and watch, and I'm hoping it's just to draw more viewers to it,
could potentially be, maybe, who knows.
Like I said, double-edged sword.
Yeah, double-edged sword, exactly. And we never know where any of these leaks come from. We never know if these leaks are ever going to be accurate or not. And you just never know. I guess we're just gonna have to wait until the show comes on. But I hope they didn't cut Nels, personally. Personally, I hope she is there. But this is an interesting one as well. I haven't heard a lot of people mention this, that is there any possibility that Melisandre could show up during the Dance of the Dragons? Because yes, technically, from what we know about Melisandre, it seems like she was most likely alive during the Dance of the Dragons. We know Melisandre is around 400 years old or something like that, or at least it seems she is that old. So yes, I mean, during the Dance of the Dragons timeline, technically she would be alive in the world somewhere. I don't think we'll see her on the show personally. They don't make any mention to Melisandre in Fire and Blood, and we do have Alice Rivers here. This, of course, is Gail Rankin, who will be playing Alice Rivers in season 2. And Alice Rivers is a very similar character to Melisandre. Just like Melisandre can see visions in the flames, Alice Rivers can also see visions in the flames, but Alice Rivers can also see visions in storms, in storm clouds and pools of water as well. So her kind of visions are even a little bit more advanced than Melisandre's in some ways. So I don't think we'll see Melisandre on the show. Yes, she should be alive during this time period, probably somewhere in Essos or in Ashai, maybe. But I'm not expecting to see her on the show. I think the Alice Rivers character is very similar to Melisandre. I think they probably wouldn't want to throw Melisandre in there on top of it. So I'm not expecting her to show up. But yeah, she is technically alive during the dance. That is true.
Yeah, I believe she'd be in Essos.
Yeah, she could probably be in Essos somewhere, or yeah, maybe Ashai, maybe Volantis or somewhere. We know that she becomes a very prominent member of the Church of R'hllor, and the main headquarters of the Church of R'hllor is in Volantis. So I imagine she probably spends a lot of time there. Yeah, I'm just not expecting to see her on the show, though, personally. I'm not expecting it. And yes, Master and Commander is one of the most historically accurate movies ever. Master and Commander is such a good movie. It really is. Like, it's in terms of having a movie that's just really good dialogue, really good acting, really good writing, and like you said, Aldous, in terms of portraying like proper naval battles, yeah, Master and Commander is a phenomenal watch.
Yeah,
yep.
good.
No, and it's the quality that they were able to get on that film is astounding. And if you ever get a chance, there's some excellent behind the scenes on all of the issues they had with filming between models and actually going to sea and the weather. And it's amazing that it got made and it's as good as it is. And that's what I'm saying. When you put a boat with actors on the ocean, you are at the whim of nature, and nature does not cooperate. So yeah, you can get 3 days of great filming, and then a tropical storm moves in, and you're screwed for 2 weeks. So, and every day that tropical storm is raining on you, you're paying the crew, you're paying the actors, and then you got to repair everything and get back to filming. So, it's just a nightmare when you do that. I just don't see the show doing it. I don't see the cost and they can do a lot with CGI, but you still got to have practical sets for people to interact with.
Yeah. Indeed. Nils has to be in it. Didn't George say Daeron is in this season as well? George and Ryan both did confirm that Daeron does exist in this world. They didn't confirm if he was going to be in season 2 or 3. I do have a feeling we probably will see Daeron in season 2. There has been a lot of rumors. I'm blanking on the actor's name, but there has been a lot of rumors that Daeron has been cast already in season 2, and even the actor has kind of played into the rumors a little bit, where he started posting pictures of blue dragons on his Instagram to kind of troll the crowd a little bit. So yes, Daeron will be in the show at some point. If we don't see Daeron in season 2, we will definitely see him in season 3. Daeron's part in the war doesn't really come into play until a little bit later on. So if they did leave Daeron out until season 3, I wouldn't be too surprised, because it's a little while before Daeron and Dessarion start becoming a kind of main fixture in the main plot. But yes, we will definitely see Daeron. If we don't see him in season 2, we will definitely see him in season 3. I just can't believe we didn't get a single mention of him in season 1. I think that would have been gone a lot I think that would have gone a long way to not only help set up the character, but for people who haven't read Fire and Blood, if all of a sudden this other son, this other brother just pops up out of nowhere that no one ever knew existed and was never even referred to, it's going to be a little bit jarring. That's why I was a little disappointed we didn't get just like a single throwaway line of Daeron's existence, even if it's just something as small as Alicent mentioning that that your younger brother Daeron is in Old Town as a cupbearer, because that is based on Fire and Blood. Daeron is in Old Town right now, serving as a cupbearer to the High Towers. So I was a little disappointed that, again, we didn't just get like a little throwaway line in season 1 just to acknowledge his existence. That way, when he does show up, it's not like a weird, jarring surprise. But yeah, we will see Daeron, if not in season 2, definitely in season 3. For sure. This is an interesting one as well. Where are the children of the forest? They be hanging out, letting Westeros folk consume themselves. And it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I mean, it seems like the children of the forest don't pay any mind at all to the Targaryens or the Dance of the Dragons. And that could be for a number of different reasons. The children of the forest do have some formidable magic, but up against the dragons, they would probably get slaughtered. I mean, hell, they got slaughtered up against the First Men. The First Men only had bronze and steel swords. So it's interesting. We don't really hear a whole lot about anything regarding that. We do get a mention of the God's Eye in Fire and Blood. There is a rumor that Adam of Hull visits the God's Eye. So if that scene does get adapted in any way, shape, or form, maybe we could potentially see, if not the children, maybe some green men in the show. But I'm not really expecting it personally. But yeah, who knows what the children were doing during the Dance of the Dragons. I imagine they were probably still north of the Wall, maybe. But yeah, they certainly weren't active. They were definitely letting Westeros go freaking nuts. That's for sure.
Well, and also
They seem to
important. It's important to keep in mind this is a record. It's a history, right?
Exactly.
So they could be
inaccurate
involved.
history.
They could be whispering in somebody's ear. You just don't know it because it's from the perspectives of how the story is being told is not your standard story. So yeah, they could be in the background. We just don't know. Maybe that's revealed at the end. That maybe the children were behind everything. Maybe they were whispering in Otto's ear, and to start making a power play to create this. So
interesting. Yeah, because like you said, Fire and Blood is notoriously contradictory. You get multiple different versions of events at times, and it is a retelling history book. So I imagine a lot of things in it might not be 100% accurate, or maybe some things were just left out entirely. And yeah, who knows? We do get this shot in the trailer, and here we can see it's crazy. We had so many seasons of Game of Thrones, and not once did we ever see a shot of the God's Eye. They never even filmed a single shot of the God's Eye in all of Game of Thrones. And we spend a lot of time at Harrenhal in Game of Thrones, and not once do we ever even see the Isle of Faces. But here we have, right here in all of its glory, the Isle of Faces will be in House of the Dragon. I'm not expecting it to be play any part in the narrative. Personally, again, maybe if Adam of Hull ends up landing there, because there is that rumor in Fire and Blood that towards the end of the dance, Adam of Hull goes to the God's Eye and takes counsel with the Green Men. And after that kind of directly leads to the battles of Tumbleton. But I'm not sure what they're going to do with that on the show. But at least, if nothing else, we at least finally get a look at what the God's Eye could potentially look like. And in the distance, you can see all of the freaking weirwood trees. Look at all of these weirwoods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That could be 2 right there. Maybe even 8 weirwoods right within eyesight. So yeah, I would love to get a proper scene at the God's Eye. That would be freaking awesome. But at least we get a shot of it finally. At least we finally get a shot of it.
How can you tell what those are? You're pointing these things out, and I can't tell what they are. The weirwoods.
Just by the color of the color of the leaves. The color of the weirwood leaf is very distinctive. And we know that the Isle of Faces does have a lot of weirwood trees on it. So I imagine these are all weirwood trees here with the red leaves there.
Okay. All right, cool.
I'm so excited to see the Isle of Faces. I just have to say that. And it is kind of close to the whole, it is pretty much in the same area where the whole God's Eye is. And so it's in that area. And you should be able to see Harrenhal from it.
Yeah. Yeah, we see the broken towers of Harrenhal in the background there. So at least on the show, they have them kind of close to each other. But yeah, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe we'll get a scene in if that happens, it will be probably late season 3, season 4. But maybe we'll get a scene of Adam of Hull landing on the gods, landing on the Isle of Faces and taking counsel with some of the Green Men. I would love to see that scene.
I mean, that would be amazing. I would love to see that too. That's something that they can definitely add in there, I think, and that would please book readers. I mean, you know what sucks? All of Game of Thrones, we never saw the Isle of Faces at all.
I know, crazy.
All those seasons,
and how much,
not even once.
Not once. And how much time do we spend at Harrenhal? Like, come on, you can't give us one little glimpse of it. Come on, man.
So I'm thinking because like the God's Eye is like dead in the center. So like Harrenhal is to the north of where the Isle of Faces are in a map. Like if I open up my map book and like pull up my freaking one of my giant maps, that's what you would see. You would see, and then you would see like, what is it? Sawthorn is like down a little more. Like Lord Harroway's town is up more after Harrenhal. Yeah. So yeah, it just makes sense.
Yep.
I mean,
it makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, we do have this, and let's see. I don't know if it's going to let me zoom in. It is going to let me zoom in. Awesome.
Zoom in. Now see, there's the God's Eye right there, the lake.
Yep, we got the God's Eye here. We got Harrenhal right north of it. We got River Run there. So yeah, this would right here. This would technically be the God's Eye. So I guess Harrenhal being right north of it makes sense.
And then the Isle of Faces should be south, like towards the southern end of the God's Eye, off to the eastern side. Is it sad that I memorized like a lot of the maps that I own?
You're good with your maps. So for those who don't know, Kayla has every map of Westeros and Essos that's ever been produced. She's probably got 10 different copies of each. So yeah, Kayla knows the map even better than I.
It's just I highly recommend everyone just goes out and buys George R. R. Martin's Lands of Ice and Fire. It has these giant maps in it, and they're gorgeous.
Kayla uses her phone navigation to drive from home to work, but can quote verbatim how many turns it takes to go from one random city to another to King's Landing.
but that's because we're working, like if I'm working in different areas, so and it's not easy to go from like north to south or north to like the other north, like to New Hampshire. It ain't easy with all the traffic that there is and construction. I'm trying to avoid shit. They're ripping up the highways.
Yeah, it's the north, the good old north. But yeah, who knows? Maybe we'll see some some nice Isle of Faces action in season 2. Another thing we did get actually a little preview of. It looks like in season 2 the beginning intro sequence is going to be a little different this year. Season 1, of course, had they were playing with the whole bloodline of House Targaryen, and you saw the trickling of blood follow from Aegon the Conqueror down to Aenys to Jaehaerys. For some reason, they skipped Maegor. But we do see the Targaryen bloodline in the intro for season 1, kind of following from Aegon all the way down the line of House Targaryen. And in season 2, it looks like they're going to have the very same song that we always get for the Game of Thrones intro, but it seems the visuals are going to be different. Apparently, the visuals on season 2 will be a tapestry like this, and the tapestry will be animated and kind of moving, and it will be telling the history of House Targaryen from Aegon all the way to Daenerys. And here we see some portions of Daenerys' part. We see Daenerys first getting her unsullied army. We also see Daenerys I love these. These are awesome. Definitely better than the blood theme they did in season 1.
I want this as
Here
a
we
blanket
see,
or something, or like a rug.
yeah,
Like,
I'd put this rug in my place in a freaking heartbeat.
I definitely would, but no one would be able to like come in with shoes on.
Yeah, no, yeah, you got shoes
Socks
off
only.
before you enter at that point.
Socks
Yeah.
only, no bare feet.
Yeah. But here we see Daenerys in the fighting pits of Meereen when Drogon swoops in and saves her and roasts some of the Sons of the Harpy. Next, we see another depiction of Daenerys finally setting sail and heading to Westeros. And the final one that we get a preview of is a preview of the Loot Train battle. Here we see Tyrion in that random Dothraki in the background, and we see Daenerys laying roast to the Lannister army during the Loot Train battle in Season 7. So it looks like we're going to have this woven kind of tapestry of Targaryen history during the Game of Thrones, during the House of the Dragon intro. And again, I think this is way cooler than the Bloodline thing they were going for.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Way
It's kind of
cooler.
like they took like it either looks like it's inspired by how the Greeks would design their vases or like hieroglyphics in an aspect. I don't know. It's kind of cool. I want to see
cool.
it
It's
tomorrow.
Cool.
Tomorrow.
I know. I want to see it in action. That's what I want to see. Like if it is animated and we're seeing this kind of tapestry be woven, in real time, that's going to look really cool. Especially, seeing Aegon's parts and all of that. Like that, I want to see what this thing looks like.
Or it can look like an
but I
Armenian
like it.
kind of rug thing, because like Armenians, like we have like a bunch of rugs with designs on them.
It's pretty cool. It is pretty cool looking. I do like it. What is the biggest thing you guys want to see this season? Oof, interesting. For me, it's two. It's two things. I want to see Cregan Stark, obviously. Cregan Stark and the return to the North. I cannot wait to see the Wall again. I'm hoping we get to see some Winterfell as well. But I cannot wait to see the Wall. I can't wait to see this version of the Night's Watch. If Fire and Blood and the history of A Song of Ice and Fire is any guide, this should be a much stronger and more equipped version of the Night's Watch than we get in Game of Thrones. Yes. By the time you get to Game of Thrones, hundreds of years later, the Night's Watch has fallen on very rough times. But back here, it wasn't nearly as depleted. During the Dance of the Dragons, I imagine the Night's Watch is not only way bigger, but a lot more of the castles are probably still actively being manned. By the time you get to Game of Thrones, there's only 3 castles being manned. That's why you have wildlings coming over the Wall basically anytime they want, because there's just no one guarding it. But back during the Dance of the Dragons, around 170 so years earlier, I imagine we should see a much stronger version of the Night's Watch, much more equipped, more men, better equipment, all of that. And that's what I'm hoping to see. So between the return of the North, Cregan Stark, and of course, the Battle of Rook's Rest. I really want to see the Battle of Rook's Rest. It's such an iconic moment in the book. And not only is it very iconic because it's a crazy battle, but it's very much a turning point in the rest of the story as well. The Battle of Rook's Rest is kind of a catalyst of sorts for a lot of things that come for the rest of the Dance of the Dragons in terms of Aemond and the position he finds himself in after the Battle of Rook's Rest and him having to kind of step up, the dynamic that will form between him and Kristen Cole kind of butting heads over what to do with the Green Army, and to see what it does to Corlys. I mean, Corlys and Rhaenys, when you think about the Dance of the Dragons and you think about there's not a whole lot of just outright good characters, Corlys and Rhaenys they're probably the closest example I can think of characters that are just generally all around good. Corlys and Rhaenys, they have a great relationship. They have a good head on their shoulders. Corlys has a very strong moral compass. So in terms of, I know there was a lot of gray and kind of anti-hero characters during the Dance of the Dragons, but in terms of finding characters that are kind of just more on the good side, Corlys and Rhaenys are probably as close to that as we're going to get. So seeing the effect that the Rook's Rest has on Corlys is going to be very interesting. How is he going to respond to that? So yeah, I want to see the Battle of Rook's Rest and Cregan Stark the most in season 2. Kayla, what are you looking forward to most in season 2?
Everything at this point. I just want the show to come on tomorrow. That's where I'm at. Okay. I'm just like, obviously, like I want to see Winterfell. I have questions, so many questions about things that happened at Winterfell. I want to see the events at Harrenhal play out. I want to see Rook's Rest. I want to see the other battles that they are possibly going to do, because we're going to get maybe 2 smaller ones, and Rook's Rest definitely the largest one. I want to see the beginning of the sowing of the seeds go on. I want to see Silver Dennis lose his freaking arm and his life.
Kayla wants to see it all.
Sons, I want to see it all. I need to see it all. It's been far too long. I have been going crazy. It's like I've been living in the land of always winter this whole time.
Yeah.
I'm like,
yes, we have.
Bring it on tomorrow. I'm
Bring
like
it
counting
on
down the
already.
hours at this point. So
yes. What about you, Aldous? Is there one event you're looking forward to seeing, or one character you're looking forward to seeing the most?
Yeah, I already talked about him, man. Benjamin Bracken. I need to see him now.
Oh yeah, Benjamin. Yeah.
yeah.
I'm looking forward to that reveal. I know the story. Like you know that all the primary players are going to do their dance and everything's going to go in. I want to see how they're going to handle some of the tertiary and the secondary characters that are not vital to the story, but I think are some real. And they've got a cast of hundreds in this because it's a wonderful history.
You know what, though? That's a good
But
point.
there's some standouts, and he's one of my standouts where I really want to see that moment. Kragan coming in out of nowhere and, doing his thing is another. I want to see that moment. I know I'm going to see that, though. So I'm kind of reaching out and going like, what if I had to pick one thing? What would I see? It'd be that, man. I want to see that where the boy becomes a man and still has that moment of empathy, which is so lacking in this story. You don't get much empathy, and I'm not one for empathy, but in a story like this, when you're talking, wholesale slaughter, that would really stand out as a great character moment to have it. And just for the sake of the story, man, absolutely, let's see it.
I like it.
You know what, though? I think that makes a lot of sense. Because I eventually want a whole Blood Raven show. That's what I freaking want. I want a Blood Raven show. Because there's so much they can do with that. So
that's kind of the same way, right? Because I mean, he's
no. It's just the
badass.
Brackens in the Blackwoods. That plays into his character. It plays into like things with him.
Right, but in the same vein, he's not just Daemon is absolutely a one-dimensional creature in this. He's a three-dimensional character, but he wants war. He wants to fight. He wants to kill. He's a warrior. That's what he wants. Bloodraven's different. Bloodraven's he's more of a Machiavellian character. He's going to manipulate things to create what he wants. Yeah. And there's some emotion that goes into that on why he's doing things. And that creates a little bit more depth than what you've got with Daemon. So what I'm saying is Daemon's your primary lead in this, and offering that Bracken that gives a little bit of emotion into it, it balances the equation. With Bloodraven, you get it all in one package, right? Like he's got emotion, he's got responses. He waits years to get vengeance on people simply because like you wronged this guy once because you didn't hold the door open for him. Like it's brutal.
Interesting. I like it. I hope we get some Benjicor Blackwood stuff as well. What about you, Snug? Is there one character or one event you're looking forward to most in season 2?
Well, Cregan Stark would be good, but mostly I'm just looking for good casting, good performances, and good story. That's good. That's good. What I'm going to be looking for the most.
That is the most important. Give us a good story. Hell yes.
I mean, they have one. It's based
when
on.
do you guys? Yeah. When do you guys think Cannibal is going to appear on the show? I have a feeling if he does appear, it'll probably be season 3. I don't think we'll see Cannibal in season 2 as much as I really want to. We have been hearing some leaked rumors in terms of the 5 new dragons that we are getting in season 2, and Cannibal doesn't seem to be among them. So if we don't get Cannibal this season, I'm hoping we get some Cannibal action in season 3. He's just such a cool. I know he doesn't play a big part in the story overall, so there is a possibility that they could potentially just leave Cannibal out entirely. but Ryan Condal did say we will see wild dragons, plural, on the show. So I have a feeling we'll see more than just sheep stealer, hopefully. So yeah, I hope we get some cannibal action. If not this season, then probably more likely in season 3. I think
we'll see cannibal because they're gonna have to show how fierce he was and that no one could tame him. That he was like a wild.
Nobody even attempts. Yeah,
and everyone was so fucking scared. You know, people were scared of him.
Noforsi and Kahoric rug merchants are going to have booming business. They are after that tapestry. They definitely are. A friend of mine sent me the Daenerys dragon eggs. I was so excited. They are candles shaped and textured and colored like her eggs. Guess who's never going to use those? Hell yeah, that's awesome. Honestly, if someone sent me some Daenerys dragon egg candles, I would never burn them bitches either. So yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense. That's awesome. Cool.
I have never burned mine, and I like.
Oh, you got some too? Awesome.
Yeah, of course I have some. God help the day that it comes down to like we got no power or anything, and I need a source of fucking heat as well. And I'm gonna have to burn those bitches. So.
Totally agree. To hell with mercy. This is the Dance of the Dragons. There is no mercy. It's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be bloody, and yes, there's gonna be not a whole lot of mercy shown. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
I'm ready.
I can't wait.
I'm so
freaking ready. I am so ready, guys. You have no idea how ready I am. Yes. And we do have 2 preview scenes from episode 1 that we will play. I played the Daemon one during the intro. I'll play the other one now real quick, and we can talk a little bit about this before we head on out. Because this is a very interesting preview scene, and I feel like it offers a very insight into the dynamic that is going to be developing between King Aegon, Alicent, and Otto. Check this out.
We only need to mind Aegon until the novelty of rule is spent. Once he tires of it, you and I can steer our course to victory.
A fine strategy, daughter. But you must accept that the path to victory now is one of violence.
I know it. But that does not mean it must be wanton.
He is the worst father in the world. I'm sorry. What a piece of crap father. And you know what? It's in a way though, she doesn't know any better, and she's kind of doing the same thing that was done to her with Aegon.
Well, that's the thing. Well, you know, that what stands out to me when I hear that scene is one of the first lines from Alicent. We only need to mind Aegon until the novelty of ruling wears off, and we can steer our cause to victory.
Yeah,
and that tells me it's very much, you know, history. I would say history repeating itself, but technically these events come before Game of Thrones. But this very much reminds me of the relationship between Joffrey and Cersei. Cersei was in a very similar situation where Cersei thought she was going to be able to control Joffrey. She was going to be the one in charge. She wasn't going to lose any power. And then once Joffrey becomes king, he slowly but surely starts to kind of let Cersei know that, no, I'm done listening to you. I am the king now. And that comes from, you know, a life of entitlement that Cersei gave him. I mean, you raised Joffrey the way that you raised him. How can you expect him not to kind of become a maniacal maniac when he becomes king? And we're seeing something a little similar here with Aegon and Alicent, where Alicent clearly seemed to think that she was going to be able to control Aegon to some degree. And it looks like that is not going to be the case. It looks like Aegon is going to be offering some resistance. And this is one thing I'm looking forward to seeing on the show. We know some of the big events that are going to be happening. We know who lives. We know who dies. We know who the dragons are. These are the moments of the show that I'm kind of looking forward to the most. These little in-between moments that aren't in the book, that flesh out the narrative a little bit more, give these characters a little bit more character development. It's these kind of dynamics that I really want to see explored on the show. And I think the dynamic between Aegon, Alicent, and Otto is going to be a very fun one to play with if you were a writer. Because it looks like that we're going to see some friction there where, again, it's just very akin to Joffrey and Cersei, where Cersei thought for sure she was going to be able to control him, and then look what happened. I think we're going to see something very similar here with Aegon, where at first Alicent's going to think that Aegon's just going to listen to her, but I think slowly but surely, the more Aegon comes into his power and the more he starts to enjoy being king, I think we're going to see some friction there on the side of the Greens when it comes to how to approach certain matters of the war. So I cannot wait to see the inner workings, the inner dynamics on the Greens and the Blacks as well. I have a feeling Daemon and Rhaenyra are going to be clashing at times as well, if these trailers are any indication.
Yeah, for sure. I think it kind of hits to the core of something that Martin dances around quite a bit, but he never really grabs a hold of and shakes loose like a strong message. It's always there, but all of these people are willing to throw the lives of the people that are looking up to them for guidance away for power, for just power, for even the semblance of power. And that's been a theme in a lot of fiction. And Martin touched on something here, which is their abject, just they don't give a shit about the average person that's laying down their life. You don't see that too often. And I think whether it's intentional or unintentional on Martin's part, I think this is probably the closest nod to what we have today and what we've had for the vast majority of the 20th century and 21st century for leadership in a lot of developed countries, where it's just for the sake of power or the projection of power. They don't think about the person's laying down their life. And that brings a little bit of humanity to it and inhumanity to all of the characters. So as much as you may want to like these people, they are all monsters. And I think
I agree with that. Yeah.
I think that's the coolest part of it is there's no highfalutin overarching cause of righteousness. These are just people that are power hungry and they're throwing away lives for the sake of grabbing it. And it's a little bit of pulling back the curtain because you no longer have that Lord of the Rings where we have a higher concept. You no longer have that Aragorn leading the charge at the Black Gate because we have to buy Frodo time. It's not that. There's no overarching goodness here. It is just for the unadulterated seeking of power. And everybody is flawed. And there are people out there that look at this and go, well, it's not what I want in fantasy fiction. And that's fine. But man, there's some great, great lessons to be learned here. And this is history. In every respect, there's a reason he based it on War of the Roses. I mean,
Yep. And that's what I love about George's writing. He borrows very heavily from real world events, whether it's like you said, the War of the Roses was a huge inspiration. He's always pulling from real world events, even going back to the Doom of Valyria and how he took big inspiration from the tragedy of Pompeii. He loves pulling from real world stuff to kind of influence some of his bigger events, which is always pretty cool. That is always pretty cool. Let's see what else we got. Lady of the Balkans is asking, hey, everyone, and hey, welcome. Okay, so I'm in Southern Europe, and how many hours does the first episode drop? Not sure if Max will air it tonight by our time zone, or do I need to wait until like 3 a.m.? I do believe it's going to be airing at the same time for everyone, and if that's 9 p.m. Eastern here, it should be probably 21 or actually closer to 20 hours from now. Actually, Kiwi, you're right. It's almost 1 a.m. Eastern here. So if they're airing it at the same time everywhere, it should be around 20 hours or so from now. I'm not exactly sure if it is airing everywhere. I do believe I read somewhere where it's airing in Europe a day after it's airing in the States. So if not 20 hours from now, then probably 1 day and 20 hours from now, if not. But that's as much as I know. I'm not 100% sure on that. But I just don't have enough data. I did see something where someone was marking down all of the times where it is going to air, but unfortunately I forgot to bookmark it on Twitter. But if I find it, I will definitely put it in the comment section of this stream afterwards. After the stream ends, a few hours after the stream ends, check the comment section. If I can find those times, I will post them in the comment section so everybody can know when it's airing in what part of the world. Oh, you found it?
Found it.
3 a.m. Okay, so it will be 3 a.m.
So it says United States Pacific time. It's going to be obviously 3 hours. behind 9, whatever the case. Canada, so that's going to be the same time, it looks like, besides Vancouver. No, actually, Canada, Toronto, Vancouver, they get it all at the same time. Rio de Janeiro gets it at 10. United Kingdom gets it at 2 a.m., it says. Europe, Central European time, 3 a.m. South Africa, 3 a.m. India, 6:30 a.m. Indonesia, 8 a.m. Philippines, Manila, 9 a.m. Hong Kong, 9 a.m. Singapore, 9 a.m. Australia, 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. in Sydney. So Perth, 9 a.m. Sydney, 11 a.m. Japan, 10 a.m. it says. New Zealand, it says, I don't know why it says 1300 p.m. That's what it says.
Military time.
Yeah. But it's weird because
it's
we're
very
on
weird.
Hawaiian time. I'm going to be in Hawaii next week.
Yeah.
That's a 6 hours difference. That's its own time zone. Wait.
Betrayed King just informed me that the list of times is posted in our Discord as well. So if you are in our Discord, check out the House of the Dragon channel on our Discord. If you're not in our Discord, I would love, everybody is welcome, of course. Our Discord is wide open. And we talk about everything House of the Dragon, from Shogun, all of the great movies and shows that we all love. We all kind of, there's always a lot of talk going on in the Discord. So if you guys haven't joined the Discord, I will drop the link in the chat. Oh, there it is. Kiwi already did it for me. Thank you so much, Kiwi. We have such awesome freaking mods on this channel. I can't thank each and every one of you enough. But yes, we do have a Jeremy Ice and Fire Discord. And again, in there, we talk about all things House of the Dragon, another series that we cover here on this channel a lot, From, one of my favorite shows of all time. If anyone hasn't seen the show From on MGM Plus, simply called From, From, definitely check it out. That will be a show that we will be covering very heavily after House of the Dragon ends when it airs this fall. There's been 2 seasons so far, and it really is the most interesting show I've seen since Game of Thrones. The best show I've seen since Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, there is our Discord link. Everybody, anyone and everyone is welcome. I would love to have you in there. And of course, I always post updates to all of the content that we do here on the channel in the Discord. So anytime we go live, anytime I'm getting ready to post an episode review or any kind of lore video or anything like that, I always put an update in the Discord ahead of time. So you guys in the Discord will always know what content is coming out before anybody else. So yeah, definitely hop into the Discord. And yes, we will be hosting these live streams every week. Every Saturday at 10 p.m. Eastern, we will be going live right here on this channel to do House of the Dragon pregame shows like this. And I am going to try and do after shows as well. I'm not going to do them Sunday night. I don't think, it seems like there's already so many House of the Dragon channels that are going to be going live right after the episode airs on Sunday night. So I'm not going to go live at that time. Again, there's already way too many channels going live there as is. A lot of some channels that I actually really like and want to watch their after shows anyway. So I won't be doing any after shows on Sunday night. I will try and do some after shows either Monday night or Tuesday night. But one thing is 100% sure, every Saturday we will be going live right here at 10 p.m. Eastern for a pregame show. And every Monday I will have my episode reviews uploaded on the channel as well. But yeah, we're going to be covering the heck out of House of the Dragon all season. So yeah, we'd love to see you guys come back and hang out with us every week and dive back into Westeros and have fun as we see this awesome story unfold in front of us. So yeah, we'd love to have you guys come back. We will be here every Saturday. No, yes. Hell yes. But with that, I think we are going to get ready to close it down now. I cannot freaking wait. We are less than 24 hours, around 20 hours away now from season 2 of House of the Dragon hitting our screens. I know you guys are just as excited as I am. I cannot freaking wait. Hell yes. Let's fucking go. Just join your Discord. Well, welcome ACC. You are most welcome in there. We are so glad to have you. Welcome to the Discord. Good to have you. And again, we will also be doing some stuff within the Discord as well, some voice chat stuff. So every once in a while, if I can't go live, I'll at least probably set up some voice chats where anyone who wants to come and hang out in the Discord and pop into the voice chat and hang out with us and talk with us, we'll be hanging out in there throughout the season as well. So yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff planned, and I cannot wait to dive into Westeros with each and every single one of you. I can't wait to hear everybody's takes on the show. Can't wait to see what all of you guys think of episode 1. So yeah, definitely come back and hang out with us next Saturday, as well as we will be doing our pregame show for episode 2 and probably be recapping episode 1 as well. But as always, I want to give a huge thank you to my awesome co-host for joining me this evening, Kayla, Aldous, Snuggie. Could not be doing this, guys, without you. My awesome other co-host, Ravener, my dude. You'll definitely be seeing Ravener up here on the channel throughout the season, and definitely when From comes around as well. Can't thank each and every one of you enough. You guys are so awesome. I love doing these shows with you. And yeah, we will be here every Saturday night. But of course, biggest thank you goes out to you guys in the chat, the awesome chat. You guys are the lifeblood of this channel and of these streams. I can't thank each and every one of you for all of the support you have shown our small, humble channel here. We're just fans like everybody else. I'm no YouTube superstar. I'm no internet celebrity. I'm just a regular fan like each and every one of you. So it's so awesome to come here every week and just hang out with fellow fans, diving into Westeros and everything else. So huge thank you to each and every one of you guys in the chat, and we hope to see you all next week as well. But until next time, we are going to call it a do, and get ready, folks, because we are diving back into Westeros sooner rather than later, and we are going to have a blast covering it and sharing it with each and every one of you. So everybody, stay safe out there, stay kind to one another, and until next time, we will see you on the next one.
Wow.